What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. If you've been here before, I'm NeonMushroom. Here's my deck. This is Tinker, Welder, Prison, and the video you're watching today is the supercut of the Pandemonium Premodern Summer Series Championships. There's going to be 4 rounds of Swiss. There is a bye. Me and 3 other players got a round 1 bye at this event because we were in the top of the leaderboard. And if you want to see what I got up to round 1, I had to play the tiebreaker match against Ryan Gates, someone we actually do play in Swiss in this very tournament. And you can go to Heavy Play's channel. There's a link to that in the description where you can see that tiebreaker match. We will both be starting this event at 1-0. Now, this video is going to be comprised of a bunch of videos I've already dropped, as this is a supercut of the whole tournament. So if you've already watched all the Swiss rounds and everything, you can go to the little line down there where the chapters are, and you can skip straight to the finals. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, this video is specifically for people like me who want a super long form piece of content to play in the background, whether like sorting cards, organizing decks for a paper Premodern stream, whatever. Now we're going to get into the first round, and our opponent is going to be Ryan Foley. He'll be on Machine Head, the Dark Grit Hippie Terminate deck, and that's everything you need to know, so let's hop into the games. All right, we're going to get into it, and then we're going to high roll, obviously. I roll a 10, and Foley rolls... Come on, not better than 10. It's an 8, so it looks like we're going to be on the play, which is really good for us, because we have soul lands, and we can open up on a turn 1 2-drop, and there's a lot of those that are going to be really detrimental if you're on the play against it. Now, I didn't explain this super well in the intro because these games are going to go long because I'm playing stacks, so you're going to find out how all the interactions work in these videos. We're going to lead on an Ancient Tomb, so it looks like we're on gear 1 here. Just do the thing. Ancient Tomb, and we're going to play a Sphere of Resistance. Now, the Sphere of Resistance is going to make it so Foley can make his land drop, and that's fine. He's got no 0 drop, so he's just going to have to pass the turn. It's a Bloodstained Mire. I'll play Rishadan Port, and let's see if Foley fetches here. If he does, it might be a mistake. He does fetch, unfortunately. So what's going to happen is he's going to go get a land. He probably didn't realize that I could do this because I have a port, but he gets a swamp. Because of this sphere, everything costs at least 2 in his deck. So when we go to his upkeep, let's see if I remember to do it, and I do. I'm going to tap, losing 2 life. That's not nothing, but I'm going to tap the swamp down, forcing Foley to have another turn of no game actions except for playing this mountain. Foley passes back to me, and we play a City of Traitors. By the way, count it, that's a big boon for this deck. We're on turn 3, we have 5 mana, meaning this Sphere of Resistance, which is supposed to be symmetrical, it does not look symmetrical right now. And we play the card that gives stacks its name, Smokestack. So this card's not super intuitive. I'll explain when we get back to my turn why this isn't symmetrical, even though it looks symmetrical. But first, Foley's going to play a Mishra's Factory, and he does have an opportunity to play a spell finally. Looks like he's going to. He taps for 2, leaving the mountain untapped, and plays a... Is this a Duress? It is. He's playing Duress. He's going to hit my hand, and he's got some good hits here. I think he's maybe supposed to take the Winter Orb, but I could see taking Tsabo's Web as well because he has a factory. He does take the Tsabo's Web, so that goes to the bin. Now, I do play Welder, so at some point I can get Tsabo's Web back from the graveyard, and it does draw a card when it ETBs, so that's actually an engine I built into the deck. We're going to go to my upkeep, where I'm going to... Yep, here's the interaction. There's 2 triggers. I choose to sacrifice no permanents because it has 0. Then I let the trigger to put the soot counter on it resolve. We'll play an Ancient Tomb, sacrificing City of Traitors. I floated 2 mana, it looks like. And we're going to drop to 12. We're really beating the crap out of ourselves. And we'll play Winter Orb. And now everyone only gets to untap 1 land per turn, so I pass to Foley, who's going to have to do a couple things here. He gets to untap a land, but then he's going to have to sacrifice something to the Smokestack. And then before he draws, I'm going to tap down his Mishra's Factory, so he can't like play a land and attack me with it. Then Foley's going to draw for turn. He's going to play a Sulphurous Springs, and then he can pass like a spell right now. I think he's going to. He taps for 2, losing black to the Springs, it looks like. Losing a life to the black. And then he Cabal Therapies and takes my second Smokestack. We don't super care about that here because it's another 4-drop, and we really don't want to have 2 Smokestacks resolved like ever. Foley's going to pass to me. It looks like I almost untapped all my lands, but I remember not to. We sacrifice Ancient Tomb to the Smokestack, then roll it up to 2, because our life total is getting very low. We're going to take a draw and play Shivan Reef, which is our first colored source of mana. We now have a blue and red source. Then we're going to pass to Foley, who gets to untap 1 thing. Then I'm going to tap it using my Rishadan Port. Then he has to sacrifice both his other lands. This is the gear 1 of Tinker Welder. This is what the deck really wants to be doing. Foley plays a Bloodstained Mire, passes to me. It looks like I almost forget the Winter Orb again, but we don't. We do need to figure out what we're untapping though. And I think it's Port, which current me agrees with past me. I think untapping the Port makes a lot of sense here, especially if I have another land in hand. I sacrifice 2 to the Smokestack, and I decide to leave it at 2. That way Foley has to sacrifice both of his lands. Then we're going to tap the Port. We're going to play Crosis' Catacombs, which is going to bounce the Ancient Tomb, and then I can tap for a colored mana, and it'll be a Sphere of Resistance. This is particularly brutal. This means that Foley can't even do anything in his upkeep for the most part, except for maybe like Bolt me, which is not going to affect my bottom line that much. We go to Foley's turn. He sacrifices both of his lands, which is not great for him. And then let's see, he has lands in hand, it looks like, but he's not going to play it, which is really smart. Because what I'm going to have to do here is sack my Smokestack and my Sphere to the Smokestack, because I don't want to lose my lands here. I'm going to play a Goblin Welder, which is very good. If we get an artifact, this game's going to get out of control fast. We follow up with Ancient Tomb and pass. And now it's safe for Foley to start playing lands. So he does, it's a Mishra's Factory. We are at 10 life, that's meaningful. Let's see if I do anything here. Looks like we just attack for 1 because we don't have any artifacts to get with our Welder. And then in Foley's upkeep, we'll tap down the Factory so we don't take any more damage. Because 10 is a low life total, and we still have an Ancient Tomb in play right now. We'll untap, and it looks like the draw was a... Ooh, this is really good. This is a Mind Stone, and it looks like the last card in my hand is actually a Tinker, which means this can get out of hand really, really fast. Looks like we're going for it. Tap 1, 2, 3. Leaving 1 untapped, we'll use the Mind Stone to make mana, and we will Tinker the Mind Stone. And I believe, yep, we go to get Tsabo's Web. Anyone paying attention knows there's a Tsabo's Web in the graveyard, so when Tsabo's Web comes in, we draw a card. Then we can activate the Tinker, which we're not going to do. We're going to play a not Tinker, Welder. We play a second Welder. This is brutal. Now we just need to pass. Foley can't untap his Factory. He plays a Mountain. Now I can't untap my Rishadan Port, and that's also important. He passes to me, so I'm going to activate the Welder at his end step and trade Tsabo's Webs. That means my Welders just let me draw cards now. We're going to go to untap, not untap the Rishadan Port. That would be highly illegal. And draw for turn. And then do we have a land drop? It's a City of Traitors. Then it looks like we're going to activate a Welder and sacrifice Tsabo's Web. Get back Tsabo's Web to draw a card. This is an insane engine here. We're going to tap the other Welder and get back the same Tsabo's Web to draw a card. And this is just a little card draw engine. Until Foley can find a way to remove our Welders, we're just going to draw cards for the rest of the game. In Foley's turn, he's going to go straight to discard, actually. He has no land, so he can't do anything. So he passes to me where I take a draw step, and I'm going to keep it going. Looks like it. Sack the Tsabo's Web to get Tsabo's Web. We're going to draw a card. I love this. I don't know if you can tell. Then we're going to sacrifice Tsabo's Web, and do we get... Ooh, and now we're going to get the Smokestack, because we have such a huge differential between the amount of permanents we control that I can just like make him sacrifice all his lands again. We'll drop a Thran Dynamo, which means we have functionally infinite mana. And then are we going to pass, or do we have a land drop? I think we do have a land drop. Yep, it's Rishadan Port, which we will tap, and then tap Thran Dynamo for another Thran Dynamo. What's the count? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 14 mana. We'll pass to Foley, who does get to untap his Mishra's Factory. He plays a Swamp, and it looks like there's a Bolt in his hand, so he's gonna attack with the Mishra's Factory. And then I do remember here, he asked me, oh, why are you at 5? And it's because he thought that I tapped my Ancient Tomb last turn, but I tapped my City of Traitors, meaning that he probably wanted to attack with the Mishra's Factory and bolt me. So based on the information Foley thought he had, his play was very good. Unfortunately, he didn't realize that I had 2 more life than I did. So he passes to me. I do the Smokestack trick. Don't sacrifice anything. Put the counter on the Smokestack. Then we're going to tap for, looks like a lot of mana here. 1, 2, 3. 3 mana total. I guess it's not that much. And we're going to play a Tangle Wire, and I think that will actually lock the game out. Foley has to take a read of it. We're going to pass to Foley, who's going to untap. He gets all of his permanents to untap, but then Tangle Wire and Smokestack are both going to do their thing. So Foley's going to have to tap out all of his lands, and then he will have to sacrifice one of those lands, which is going to be really bad. And Tangle Wire is already pretty good for the player who plays it, but I'll get to that in a moment. Foley's going to Diabolic Edict. This is actually pretty good for him, because there's no more Sphere of Resistance. So I tap Goblin Welder in response to the Edict, and I target, looks like, Sphere of Resistance and try to sacrifice the Thran Dynamo. I believe Foley does wind up having a response because I can see the Bolt in his hand. So I make my targets, and then Foley probably needs a second to think. Because if he draws another Bolt, maybe bolting me is correct. Let's see what he does. No, he bolts the other Welder. He wants me to have no more Welders left. So in response, I have to do something here, obviously. I'm going to tap that Welder, it looks like. And then what are we going to get back? Another Sphere of Resistance. I see that Foley has firepower, and I don't want him to be able to cast it, so we're going to lose both of our Thran Dynamos, both of our Welders, but we're going to get 2 Sphere of Resistances into play. So we're going to continue prisoning out the game, and I think our goal now is to just find a win condition and try to blow Foley out. But for now, we're going to be playing for quite a bit more time, if I had to guess. Foley draws for turn, and then just passes back. Looks like he doesn't play his land out, probably because he wants me to exhaust the Smokestack again. We're going to tap Tangle Wire and Sphere to the Tangle Wire after removing the Fading counter. Then we're going to sacrifice Ancient Tomb to the Smokestack and then roll up the Smokestack, so Foley has to sacrifice both of his lands. Having to sack 2 lands with 2 Spheres in play is very, very bad for Foley. This means that like the only thing that needs to happen for me is I need to draw something with a point of power, and it's probably going to clean the game up. Foley's going to pass the turn to me, so I'll untap and then roll down the Tangle Wire. Tap Tangle Wire and Smokestack to the Tangle Wire, then sack both of them. This is probably the perfect position for me. We just really need to find a way to win. Looks like we tap 2, and then we play, Shivan Reef. So we're gonna lose our City of Traitors. But then we tap for a 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th mana. This has to be like a Thran Dynamo, right? Yeah, we play Thran Dynamo, meaning the Sphere of Resistances are effectively paid for by the Thran Dynamo. So we've broken parity like ×5 by now. Fully plays Sulphur Springs and passes back to me. I'm going to play a Rishadan Port, pass back, and then in Foley's upkeep, he knows what's up. He already tapped the Sulphur Springs. And then he finds another land. It's a swamp, so that's not the worst, but I tap it at his end step because I've got multiple ports going now and my Tsabo's Web's no longer in play. We'll tap for 3/4 and play Mind Stone, which can give us a redraw later. So even though it just looks like a mana rock, it can help out in the later turns. We're going to tap Foley's land. He's going to go to discard. We're going to pass to me. I'm going to draw. We just need to find a win condition. Looks like I drew a Mishra's Helix here though, and I bet I'm going to cast it. Yep, that's 7 mana for a Mishra's Helix, which is kind of like replacing the ports, only it's a bit more efficient. To tap 2 lands, it'll start to only cost 2 mana instead of 4. Foley draws. It looks like he found a land. It's a Mishra's Factory. Unfortunately, it does not help against this Mishra's Helix. So I untap, I take a draw for turn, and can we find a way to deal damage to my opponent? We play Gemstone Mine, comes in with a mining counter. Anything else? Nope, we're going to pass to Foley and tap all the stuff. Foley has to go to discard. I think the writing's on the wall for this particular game. We've got him locked out really hard. We've got like no way to win yet, but we've got redraws. We've got the mana advantage. We basically have everything going for us. Foley draws. I tap. Does he go to discard? He does. Does it terminate? He passes to me. And then I'm going to, at his end step, he doesn't discard yet because I have to crack both of these Mind Stones. I see what happened here. So we draw 2, then Foley discards, then we untap, and then we take a draw. To be fine in the top 3, a way to deal damage to our opponent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is good for Masticore if we have it, and we do. All right, Masticore should clean this game up over the course of the next like 5 turns, but I do have to feed the dog on Masticore. Masticore wants to bury itself if you don't pitch a card to it. So we're going to do that here. We pitch, I think, what is that? It's a Fire Diamond? I can't actually see what I discarded, but it was probably not a card of consequence. Then we're going to float a mana with Gemstone Mine. Did we draw a Crosis' Catacombs? Yep. So we'll bounce the Gemstone Mine back with the Crosis' Catacombs, resetting it. This trick also works with City of Traitors. If it comes up, we'll talk about it when we get there. We do play Fire Diamond, and then we attack for 4. And that's going to bring Foley down to, it looks like 14. Let's make sure the life totals make sense. It's 13. I think, oh, he had to pay him. I think we forgot to mark the damage from his own Sulphur Springs earlier. And then Foley goes to discard after I pass, so I go to draw. I accidentally almost draw a card because I had to feed the Masticore. Then we draw for turn, attack for 4. That brings Foley down to 9, I believe. And then we're shortcutting at this point. I go past, tap your lands, go ahead. Foley goes to discard, I untap, I have to feed my dog. It's going to be Ensnaring Bridge. Then I draw for turn, attack with my dog, Foley goes to 5. And then I have, yep, we're going to continue shortcutting. It's like, Foley, sorry, man, you have to tap all your lands. You can draw though. But then Foley's going to scoop it up. He sees the writing on the walls. We got game 1. All right, going into game 2, we're doing a little 5-for-5 sideboard action. I've got my little notes here. So let's see, we're bringing in 3 Pyroclasm. It's a 2 mana, deal 2 to everything. Foley's got like a plethora of creatures this hits. Grim Lavamancer, Hypnotic Spectre, the Rats. It even does hit, I believe, Blazing Spectre is a 2/2 as well. So that should be pretty good. We're also going to bring in a Rejuvenation Chamber. You saw in that game 1 that Foley actually, when I was playing that game, I couldn't see Foley's hand. It was much closer than it looked. When Foley went to bolt me, he thought that I was at 5 life instead of 7. Because he was so used to me activating Ancient Tomb and losing 2, he didn't realize I had activated a City of Traitors the turn before. So if only Foley knew that I was at 7, like that game could have been much closer. Then there is going to be 1 Powder Keg, because Foley you didn't see it round 1, but he's the rack deck. He's also going to have like Grim Lavamancers, and there's a bunch of stuff on like 2 and 3 that I also want to hit. Remember, we're a Welder deck and a Tinker deck, so we can kind of like shuffle our Powder Keg and get multiple uses out of it. What are we taking out? I know it looked really good in that game, that's because any good artifact that cost more than 3 mana was going to be good in that spot. We're removing a Helix, the Mishra's Helix. This card, very sweet in grindy long game matchups. Foley kind of wants to put the pressure on, and if I have a big 5-drop artifact in play, it's just not going to do the job most of the time. We are going to take out a Masticore. This is one of my more questionable decisions, but Masticore is going to start feeding on my hand very quickly. And Foley is a deck that plays, not Burglar Rat, Ravenous Rat, Cabal Therapy, Duress. He's already playing the rack. I don't want to have a creature that forces me to feed it every turn to keep it around. We're going to lose one welder simply because we don't want to play a welder super quick because Foley's deck is full of ways to remove it. We want to make sure to prison the game out before we develop a Goblin Welder. And then finally, we're taking out 2 Phyrexian Furnace because outside of not Sylvan Scrying, that would be crazy. Outside of a Skeletal Scrying, Foley's not really digging into his graveyard very much. So it's just kind of one of our more dead artifacts in the matchup. That's all you got to know. Let's hop into the next game. All right, hopping into game number 2 of round 2 for you guys round 1, like I explained at the beginning. Foley's going to be on the play, which is pretty bad for me. That means Foley can actually duress or Cabal Therapy or like resolve a Grim Lavamancer before I actually have a chance to put a Sphere of Resistance into play or something. Looks like Foley's mulliganing, but I'm going to keep. Let's look at my hand. There are 2 Ancient Tombs in my hand. It's a bummer I can't show hands yet. I'd like to I need to find a better way to get like myself in here to do commentary, but maybe keep it so you can see my hand on the table. Right now, I don't know what my positioning should be, so we're doing this for now. I think it looks the most intuitive. Leave a comment if you'd like to see something different. Looks like Foley does open up under us, and he sees banger, 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 banger. What does he take here? Winter Orb? Yeah, it's Winter Orb. He takes the Winter Orb with the duress. That was probably going to be my turn 2 play after I exposed the Mind Stone, but now that I see Tormod's Crypt, I might want to play Powder Keg. Let's see what I do. I'm holding the Powder Keg in my hand. I think that might be the play. Yeah, we do exactly that. We play a Powder Keg, and we pass to Foley, probably thinking that we want to get the Powder Keg up on 1 as fast as possible. That way we can beat like the Rack, we can beat Grim Lavamancer, cards like that. And then Foley drops the Rack. There it is. So there's a small chance that maybe you like leave the Powder Keg on 0 so I can blow up the Tormod's Crypt before I start putting cards in my graveyard. But that Rack can get bagged quick. So we tick it up to 1, play Ancient Tomb, it looks like. And are we losing 4 life right now? We are, we're at 14. Because we want to play, Thran Dynamo. Okay, this does make sense. Thran Dynamo is going to give us a rebate of 3 mana right now, and we can drop the Mind Stone if we want to. And it looks like we do exactly that. There's a Mind Stone. And then there's nothing else to use mana on, so we pass to Foley. We do only have 3 cards in hand, so this is what I meant by the Rat can be very dangerous. Foley's going to pass to me, so I'll untap. And do we roll up the keg, or do we leave it on 1? We're leaving it on 1, it looks like. I'll draw for turn. And then we should have a land drop here. We do, it's Gemstone Mine. And then looks like we've got Tangle Wire and Ensnaring Bridge in our hand. We're going to play the Ensnaring Bridge. It's not going to come up right now, but it is raw material for cards like Tinker and Welder and Smokestack, Tangle Wire, cards like that. Foley, ooh, wow. Okay, we should look at this play. So at end step, Foley cracked his Tormod's Crypt, and then he Dark Ritualed, and then he cast Skeletal Scrying for 2. Why is that cool? Because he had no cards in his graveyard and not enough mana too. So like, that was a pretty smart play from Foley. It looks like he wanted to do it for 3, but he doesn't have enough mana to. So he drew his card already, but I think we are saying, yeah, we're saying it's fine. That's your card draw for turn. So we're good to go there. Foley's going to play a Bloodstained Mire. Man, that play was cool. Play Bloodstained Mire. Is he going to fetch? He is. We don't have a Sphere of Resistance, so anything Foley wants to do here is kosher. Our deck plays next to no permission. Foley taps for a red and plays Grim Lavamancer. Normally that'd be a good play, but we're cracking the Powder Keg that Foley maybe forgot was in play, or maybe he just wanted to force me to pop it. I'm not really sure. But I am a Welder deck, so I can get more than 1 use out of the same Powder Keg. I'll play City of Traitors, meaning I have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana, which is just obviously so much. Nothing to sink it into yet. Foley is going to play a Swamp, and he's finding his land drops. It looked like he kept a 1-lander. But it's working out that the Skeletal Scrying has let him develop a mana base. It might be a little too late at this point. It looks like we're tapping for 3, and then what? Sphere of Resistance. Are we just letting the other floating mana go away? We are. Looks like we're not playing the Tangle Wire yet. I don't think we had to. We just don't need to lose the life to our Ancient Tombs right now. So we're going to untap, draw, pay 3 for a second Sphere of Resistance. So now Foley's 1 drops cost 3, his 2 drops cost 4. This is pretty brutal. Passes back to me, so I draw. I'm obviously not narrating Foley's turns because he's just doing nothing, unfortunately, because he's so prisoned out of the game. We play Crosis' Catacombs. You actually got to see the trick there. Float 2 with the City of Traitors, and then return it with the Crosis' Catacombs with the sacrifice trigger on the stack. We'll play the Tangle Wire. That's on 4, so Foley is immediately tapping 4 lands in his upkeep before he does anything else. Draws, plays Sulphurous Springs, and passes back to me, where I'm going to roll down my Tangle Wire, tap Sphere, Tangle Wire. Then I'll play, do we have a land drop? I know we have a land drop. We got a City of Traitors. But instead, we're going to play Port, probably just to keep Foley as tapped down as possible. And then do we do anything else? Or are we just passing? Looks like we're passing. Foley taps 3 to the Tangle Wire. And then I'm going to Port, looks like the Sulphurous Springs, just to keep him off black. He draws for turn. Does he have a land drop? If he doesn't, he does not have a land drop. This is going to get grim really fast. I untap all my permanents, roll down the Tangle Wire to 2, leave the 2 Sphere of Resistance tapped to the Tangle Wire. And I think, guys, I know you can't see it, but I think I just drew a Tinker, which has to be so bad. Yeah, we're tapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 mana is what Tinker would cost right now, and we're playing the Tinker. We're going to get our Ensnaring Bridge, which is doing absolutely nothing for us, except for being material, and we're getting a Karn Silver Golem. You haven't seen this card that much on this channel, but it animates artifacts, and some of my artifacts get really expensive. The power and toughness are equal to CMC, so I just activated Tangle Wire and attacked with it, hitting Foley down to 14, it looks like. Then we're going to Foley's turn, where he's tapped 2 to the Tangle Wire already. I no longer have Port up, so he's got, this is a turn where he could make a play, actually. Let's see if he decides to do anything. He could, oh no, he can't even bolt the Karn because I've got 2 Sphere of Resistance. That's brutal. We untap, we leave the Tangle Wire tapped to itself. Probably getting busy with Thran Dynamo here. We're gonna float 1, 2, 3, going down to 12 because we tapped a City of Brass, our Ancient Tomb. And then, yep, we're animating all 3 of our rocks. And it looks like we're gonna turn them sideways. Foley does have a bolt, so he can hit a Sphere of Resistance if he wants to tap 3 mana here. And it looks like that's exactly what he's gonna do. 1, 2, 3, and there's a bolt. So this is only 8 damage, meaning, no, I'm sorry, it's 4, it's 10. It was 12, now it's 10. So that's gonna mark Foley down to 4 life. And it looks like we miss it. I think we're playing pretty quick here now because the game's like in a state that's honestly not super fun for Foley to be playing in, unfortunately. But he is at 4 life right here. I think we catch it at some point if I'm not mistaken. Foley goes to untap. He only has to tap 1 to the Tangle Wire. And then I'm going to port him. He draws, but I let him know, hey, I'm gonna hit your basic mountain before you actually get access to that card that you're drawing. What can Foley do here? He definitely needs to put a body into play. He really needs to find a way to deal with Karn. If he can deal with Karn, the game goes longer. If he can't, the Karn's going to close it up. He plays Ravenous Rats, which doesn't look like it's quite good enough. I'm going to pitch Smokestack, and then he passes, so I'm going to untap. I'm going to have to tap nothing because Tangle Wire is going to lose its last counter, but it stays around because cards with Fading don't go away until they want to lose a counter, but cannot. I believe that's what I'm explaining to Foley here. Then I tap for 2, play Crosis' Catacombs, do the trick, buy back my City of Traitors, and then I animate both my Tangle Wire and my Sphere of Resistance, and then Foley taps for a black. Oh no, I tap him out with my Rishadan Port, and Foley sees it. All right, after our victory against Foley, we are 2-0, 1-0 according to this, but remember the round 1 bye. Going into round 3, we're going to be playing against Chris Shavers, friend of the channel. You see him here on the streams all the time, and he's playing a particularly dangerous deck. It's going to be the Parallax Tide Land Still deck. It's basically just Standstill with the Land Hate combo of Parallax Tide, Stifle, Seal of Cleansing, and there are Chain of Vapors as well. Let's get into round 3. All right, getting into it, we're going to high roll as always. I roll a 10. If I'm remembering correctly, we rolled draws a couple times. Yeah, there's another 10. So I believe I do win this die roll. Now, Chris, for those of you who will remember from the recent series I uploaded, which was Pandemonium Premodern 4 of the summer series, 2 events ago, Chris actually beat me in the finals for that one. So Chris is a very dangerous opponent, and he's playing a very dangerous deck. I think we typically are going to have a good matchup here, but Chris, again, extraordinary pilot. Looking at my 7, we've got a keepable 7. We've got a soul land into a 2-drop, which we're almost always going to keep. Chris goes to 6. Let's see if he can find a 6 that he actually likes. Looks like he's got 1 land, 2 land, multiple pieces of permission. What's that last card? It is a Chain of Vapor. That's definitely a keep. He puts 1 down, and we're off to the races. I'll play City of Traitors, and then Mind Stone. So turn 1, 3 mana. Pretty good. Chris is going to Flooded Strand and pass. Quite good. I'll untap and draw. Looks like we got another Mind Stone, so we'll play it, and if I'm not mistaken, there's also a Winter Orb in our hand. Tap 2, and there it is. Play Winter Orb. This isn't going to matter yet, but eventually, because there also is a port in our hand, I believe, we're going to start to like lock Chris out of the game and hopefully be able to resolve spells under counter magic. Chris did play in a Darker Waste. We're now tapping for 4 and playing Thran Dynamo. Chris probably has to interact with this. I believe he does. Looks like he does. He's going to fetch, drop down to 19, counterspell it. But I've only got the 1 land, and now Chris has tapped down both of his lands. So there's some interesting stuff that could happen here. I'm wondering if this is the turn that nope, I did not expose my my Rishadan Port just yet, but I think that's okay. Chris is going to take a draw step. He has 1 island untapped because we have a Winter Orb. He plays in a Darker Waste and passes to me. I've only got 1 land, so I keep on tapping all 4 of my mana sources. Real good for me. We're going to play a Tangle Wire. Chris does have the counter magic, so I'm almost certain he has to use it here. He does counterspell. Now that's going to be fine. This turn's probably the one where I want to play my port. Yep, we play port, sacrifice City of Traitors, and now we're in an interesting game state where I still have 1 land, but two mana rocks. So Chris is going to untap 1 land a turn, and I'll just tap it back down. and that's going to be the game state for the foreseeable future. Chris passes to me after playing a tap land. Coastal Tower is not great, and I have a second Rishadan Port, it looks like. So we're passing to Chris, and in his upkeep, not his upkeep, his on-tap, he'll on-tap the island, then as an upkeep, we'll tap it with our port, and we're going to keep this going. Chris missing land drop here, very, very big deal for me. Looks like we're passing back and forth again, so I'm going to target the island. And it looks like Chris is looking at his Chain of Vapor, which he casts, bouncing my Mind Stone, which I don't hate, because now if I want to reestablish the Mind Stone, I'm going to have to tap more mana, and then maybe get locked a little bit more under my Winter Orb than I'm comfortable being locked. Chris plays a Mishra's Factory, so finding land drops here is exactly what Chris wants to do. We'll take a draw. Looks like we're going to play a third Rishadan Port, which cannot be good for Chris at all. And we'll expose the Mind Stone. I should probably tap for that differently. And it looks like I see it. Yeah, we're going to tap the Mind Stone. That way we're not tapping a bunch of our lands under our Winter Orb. We pass to Chris, who untaps a blue source, and then I'm going to tap that blue source again, it looks like. Does Chris have like another chain in his hand? He does. He wants to do the same thing. Bounce the Mind Stone in my hand. Just kind of keep me under on mana advantage, so I have to keep struggling to get lands into play. Passes to me, I'll untap and draw, and I think that was a City of Brass. No, yeah, Ancient Tomb. Way better than City of Brass. This deck does not play City of Brass. Ancient Tomb comes into play, so now I'm up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana, and I'm tapping the Ancient Tomb for 2. This lets me just re-expose the Mind Stone. So the Chain of Vapors more or less didn't do a lot. In Chris's upkeep, we'll tap down his island, and I'm wondering if he's got a response after that. Looks like not. So he draws for turn, and after his draw step, we're going to tap his Mishra's Factory, holding him down pretty hard. Chris does play Flooded Strand. That's tricky because I can't really tap the Flooded Strand, so Chris probably wants to leave that uncracked for as long as possible. Chris on-taps a island, but I can tap that one. So I tap 2 and tap the island. If any of you don't love this playstyle of, Prison, this is the only event we're playing it for, and I probably won't play it in another event for a long time. Just for anyone who's watching this like, ew, Prison, know that there are people who love this. I know some of them in real life. This is for you guys who like Prison decks. We're playing Crosis' Catacombs, which is really nice because if I bounce a land, that's kind of like on tapping it. Next turn I can play it and it's great. Looks like we've got a Welder, and then Chris, going to his turn, he on-taps. I'm going to port, but if Chris has a swords here, which he does, he needs to use it to get that Welder out of play. So I'll gain a life, go back up to 16, looks like? No, 19. I guess I haven't used my Ancient Tomb that much, so that makes sense. And Chris plays a Mishra's Factory. Nice Pandemonium Premodern top 8 Mishra's Factory, which is very cool. Then we will untap Port plus Mind Stone, and then play our third port back out. That's what we bounce to the Crosis' Catacombs. Chris on-taps, so I'm going to tap down that Coastal Tower in his upkeep. See if he has anything to say. He doesn't. So then he draws for turn. Same trick. At the end of your draw step, it looks like I'm tapping 2 more to tap him out of his Sky Cloud Expanse. He does have a Mishra's Factory, so he's keeping up on lands, which is this is where Chris wants to be here. He'll pass to me, so I'll untap and take a little draw step. Let's see what we find here. A City of Traitors. Not bad. That's a lot more mana. This leaves us with 5 on tap right now, so if we had something to do, we should do it there, but I'm not entirely sure what we have in our hand. I pass back to Chris, so I'm going to tap down the land that he untaps, the Coastal Tower. And then he draws. Does he have a land number 4 here? He is fetching. Chris is fetching the Flooded Strand. Is it to go get a basic Plains? It is a Plains. And then I wonder what his line is here. Does he want to... Oh, I see a Seal of Cleansing in his hand. Maybe that's exactly what he's supposed to do here. Taps for 2, plays Seal of Cleansing. I don't play Permission, so that just kind of resolves. The card's very good against me. Chris then passes, so I untap Crosis' Catacombs. And I've got multiple Tinkers in my hand, so I think I know exactly what I did here. Tap for 1, 2. Think about it differently. Yep, 1, 2, 3. And I tap my Mind Stone, so I don't tap down too many lands. And then I Tinker, targeting a Mind Stone. Chris doesn't have any blue mana available, so it resolves, and that's second Winter Orb, meaning that that Seal of Cleansing is not going to save him from this prisoned out game that he's currently participating in. He does opt to crack the Seal of Cleansing on one of the Winter Orbs at my end step. Then he's going to untap a Coastal Tower. We do not have a port untapped, so I can't do anything about that. Chris passes to me, and what are we untapping here is the big question. Is it a port or is it a blue source? It looks like it's a port. We'll draw our card for turn. Our hand is like kind of fine, but very expensive. We're also having trouble operating under our own Winter Orb. Looks like we're passing to Chris and tapping down his Coastal Tower in his main phase. I did not do anything with my turn. Chris is going to play Dust Bowl, which could come up if he can get enough mana to start using it. It beats up on my soul lands in a really good way for him, not for me so much. I'm going to tap City of Traitors to play out another Mind Stone. These are also redraws. Mind Stone is one of the actual like secretly best cards in this deck. Chris on-taps, and I'm just going to retap him back down. I'm aware that Parallax Tide is a way for Chris to buy into this game, and I'm trying my hardest to not let him Parallax Tide me. He passes to me, so I untap Port plus Mind Stone. And then I play Gemstone Mine and sacrifice the City of Traitors. In the last upload, I forgot to sacrifice the city. Luckily, it didn't matter, but it was that's something you got to watch out for when you're playing this deck, because if the games go long, it's easy to miss triggers. I play Welder. He lets that resolve, and then Chain of Vapors looks like my Winter Orb. I don't have a response, so this is huge for Chris. He's going to get to untap all of those lands, and he needs to make use of it because he knows that I have the Winter Orb in hand. And if he doesn't have a piece of permission, which in his hand it doesn't look like he does, he could be in trouble. Ooh, Chris reminding me very kindly, do you want to tap down a land before I draw a card? It's like, well, yeah, sure. He did draw the card, but I think if I remember incorrectly, he reminded me, which is very nice of him. He's going to tap for 1, 2, 3. It's got to be tied, right? 4. That's a white source. I wonder if he wants to readjust it to factory. He does. That's 2 blue. It's probably going to be a Parallax Tide. He plays Parallax Tide. We know he's got a Stifle in hand. I can see that just watching this scratch video I made for the edit. And then I separate all 6 lands, and he takes everything but my Gemstone Mine, because the Gemstone Mine will implode all on its own. Plus, he does have an active Dust Bowl. Then he taps for a white, probably to Swords to Plowshares my Welder. This is pretty bad for me. 1 on-tap step, and this is everything that Chris is able to do. He plays Coastal Tower, and he's got exactly 4 lands left. I don't see a reason not to just Dust Bowl my Gemstone Mine. That's exactly what he does. Now, mind you, these Mind Stones are very important still. He's going to, yep, there goes the island that he sacked for the Dust Bowl. Even though I don't have a land in play, I still get to tap 2 and play this Winter Orb. So now Chris is trapped again with me. Now he's going to untap a blue source. And then here he gets to do something kind of mean. Parallax Tide wants to go away. He's going to stifle the trigger to bring back my lands. So all 5 of those lands are just gone forever now. I don't get those back. Chris plays Sky Cloud Expanse, and I draw for turn and find a Shivan Reef, which is huge, because I do have this Goblin Welder that I just played. And I think Chris's only card in hand is Decree of Justice, which is not helpful here. So this Goblin Welder may be able to buy me enough advantage to just kind of take over this game from this position. He drew a counterspell, which is not good against a Resolve Welder at all. I tap for a red, or it looks like a colorless maybe because I'm not losing a life. And then I play Crosis' Catacombs, buying back my land drop for next turn, and then tap for a total of 4 and play Thran Dynamo. That's pretty good. Am I going to activate the Welder now? Float 3 with Thran Dynamo, activate the Welder, and what are we buying back? Looks like Tangle Wire. We're going to keep the prison going. This is going to keep Chris tapped out for a good long time. So Tangle Wire comes into play. Chris has nothing to say about it. He goes to untap, untaps 1 land, and then Tangle Wire has 4 counters on it, so he taps all 3 lands. And this is prison. We are absolutely on gear 1 again. Now we're going to untap, roll down the Tangle Wire, tap both of our Mind Stones plus the Tangle Wire to the Tangle Wire. Then we'll play that Shivan Reef back out. We have a Tsabo's Web in hand, it looks like, but we do not need to expose it, because Chris can't untap anyway. Then Chris is going to pass to me. Is it time to use my Welder? Yep. Sacrifice. This is a really cool trick. Now I don't have a Tangle Wire, so I have to tap nothing in my upkeep. I'm getting back a Thran Dynamo, meaning I have access to a ton of mana. We play City of Traitors. We're tapping for 1, 2, 3, and it looks like we're we're floating 5. We're tapping for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're using 3 of it, leaving 3 floating. We're going to tinker for Altar of Dementia. That's how I won this game. Then with the rest of our mana, 3 floating and 3 more mana sources from our rocks and lands, we play Devourer. This combo is going to kill Chris, so we're going to game number 2. All right, before we can get into the second game, we do have to do some sideboarding. Be aware, I don't know exactly how Chris sideboarded for this matchup, but we have to be aware of a null. A null is going to be a pain because Chris is on the play, so if he opens on a 1 blue source of mana that's untapped, it's going to stop our best openers, and we have to be aware of that going in. What are we doing? We're going to be bringing in 1 Powder Keg. It's probably not super intuitive why. All of Chris's manlands are going to be a big part of how he wins the game, and simply putting a Powder Keg into play will allow us to kind of like hold a stasis over the game where Chris actually can't turn the corner, and we can kind of play Magic for infinite time. We're also bringing in 2 defense grids, which are going to make Chris's counter magic not matter. If we can open on a defense grid and Chris doesn't have a response, it leaves his outs to the situation as exactly 2 Seal of Cleansing. He doesn't really have any other way to stop us. What are we taking out? 1 Masticore. It's going to feed on our hand, which we really don't want. We want to keep up on cards in this matchup. And also it just dies to swords, which isn't great. We're going to be removing 1 Phyrexian Furnace. Chris doesn't actually use his graveyard as a resource. I could see cutting both, but I do like how the Furnace replaces itself. That's kind of nice. And you can get into some pseudo loops with the Goblin Welder. So we're keeping 1 copy. And we're also going to remove the Ensnaring Bridge. Chris, by the time he starts attacking us, the creatures aren't the real problem. We're going to be dead to anything, so we're not really worried about using Furnace to try to lock on the game. That's everything you got to know, so let's hop into the game number 2. All right, getting into the second game, Chris is going to be on the play, and Chris probably sided in all 3 copies of a null that he does have in the sideboard. This means that even my fastest openers are something Chris can combat. So we're definitely going to be sweating this game. And looking at his hand, it looks like Chris just has the annul plus a blue source, an untap blue source. I do not like my hand. I can't remember exactly why, but I think it had something to do with just not like enough action plus no soul lands. So we're going to look at this 6, which has 2 soul lands, but like 0 stacked pieces, which we're going to mulligan. I do agree with that. I remember almost keeping that hand, but thinking, what am I going to do? Fairly cast my spells against the control deck? That seems like a horrible idea. So we're going to look at this 7 and see if there's a 5 inside of it that we can keep. And just glancing at it here, we absolutely can. We've got a soul land plus multiple copies of Sphere of Resistance. There's no way we're not just keeping this. So we're going to pitch 2 to the bottom. And it looks like we're off to the races here with Chris on the play. He's going to lead on a Flooded Strand and pass to me. Take a draw step, and here's the check. Sphere of Resistance on turn 1. Chris does have the annul. He fetches, he has to get an island. He's going to annul it, and then we're just going to pass the turn. If this had resolved, if Chris kept a hand with a bunch of 2 mana counter magic, that would have been really bad for him because he wouldn't be able to cast it on curve, and I would just start to cast my spells underneath Chris's interaction, which would be really bad. Chris plays Flooded Strand and passes back to me, so I will... Looks like we're playing a Shivan Reef, tapping for 2, and are we checking again? Yep, here's a Sphere of Resistance. Does Chris have it? Looking at his hand, he mana leaks. I do see another annul in his hand as well, but he's probably keeping it so he can set up a double spell on a later turn. So I really like this play from Chris. I think a lot of other players might just use the annul, not thinking about how important like using your mana is in these early turns. Chris untaps and he draws for turn, and looks like it's going to be a factory. He passes back to me. I'm going to untap and take a draw myself. And here I'm going up to 4 mana, I believe. Let's see what happens. I tap for a... Oh, this is the harbinger of a layer land. Crosis' Catacombs comes into play. Yep, we're using all 4 of our mana, losing a bunch of life to this ancient tomb. And I don't think we used colored for that Shivan Reef, though, so we should be good there. And we're going to play Thran Dynamo. Chris probably... Yeah, he annuls this. Unfortunately, I don't think he has anything to do with the other 2 mana because we're just passing back to him. So he's going to play Dust Bowl. That is bad for us because I've got like soul lands in play. Chris might be incentivized to just do what he's doing right now and blow it up. He's not in a hurry to win the game. He can just like sacrifice those Mishra's factories pretty willy-nilly. I'll play Shivan Reef and pass back because I have nothing to do with my mana. Chris doesn't have a land drop. That's huge here. So he passes back to me, and I do. I find Gemstone Mine, play it as my land for turn, and here's a Tangle Wire. Unfortunately for me, Chris has mana leak. So he's going to mana leak. Permission's really good here. Chris can get out from underneath of a Sphere of Resistance and have a ton of permission. That's how he wins this matchup, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. We got a Gemstone Mine into a Smokestack. No chance this resolves. There's the counter spell. We're in a tough spot here. Chris is going to untap. He just needs to start drawing lands at some point, which he hasn't done yet. Will untap. We take a draw. We're going to tap for 1 and play a Goblin Welder. He has 2 swords, but no white sources, so he does use a counter spell on it. Goodbye, Welder. And then do we have anything else to do? Nope, we're just passing. Chris finds land 4. He plays Standstill. He's had this Standstill, it looks like, for a couple turns, but he's very patient. He just didn't want to expose Standstill and not have counter magic up because he knows how strong some of my spells actually are. We play Mindstone. That's going to crack the Standstill. Chris is going to draw 3 cards. The last card in our hand is Tinker. So I'm going to tap for everything, losing one of my Gemstone Mines, it looks like, and Tinker my Mindstone. Does Chris have a reaction? He doesn't because he's already used so much permission. So we're going to tutor for a Mishra's Helix. I think this is a Hail Mary for me. I've got a Gemstone Mine that's on the way out, and Chris has the mana advantage. So this isn't good for my position at all. Also, Chris just made a land drop, and it's a white source, and he's got the Dust Bowl up still. So this is real bad. Looks like I draw and pass, and in Chris's upkeep, I'm going to use the Mishra's Helix to tap down 2 things. Chris might be incentivized to just Dust Bowl in response here. Hitting the Crosis' Catacombs would be the best thing to do. That way I have to pay life for my colored mana or sacrifice my Gemstone Mine. Looks like that's where we're going. Sacrifice Island, pop my Crosis' Catacombs, it's all gone. This is really bad for us. Chris is going to... Oh, he already drew a card for turn. He was asking me, did I draw a card? He did. He plays a Darker Waste and passes back to me. We keep drawing lands, which isn't bad, but he continues to have Dust Bowl. We're going to play a Shivan Reef, it looks like. And are we going to jam Sphere or are we going to pass? We're passing. There's a Sphere of Resistance in my hand that's behind me that you can't see. I'm going to use the Mishra's Helix to tap down 2 lands. And Chris is going to do it again. Pop a island from the Dust Bowl and knock me back a land. And then he's going to draw for turn. That's a Parallax Tide. He also has multiple lands in his hand. He plays like Sky Cloud Expanse and passes to me, so I'll untap. We're going to lose our Gemstone Mine to play... Oh, we don't even need to lose it. We play Crosis' Catacombs. That's quite good here. Then we're going to tap for 2 more and play Sphere of Resistance. Does Chris have a response? He does. It's a mana leak. I think the door is officially shut. I think we might play for a couple more turns, but I can't see a world where I come back from this. Chris is going to play a tap Fairy Conclave. Then it looks like we're going to see, yep, here it is, Parallax Tide. I immediately just put 2 lands under the tide. We know exactly what Chris is doing here. There's no mystery. Chris passes to me. I think about playing a land, but I'm not going to. I need to let that Parallax Tide roll down. So Chris's tide goes down to 2. The one nice thing is Chris can't put me under a ton of pressure without something like Decree of Justice. So I can just kind of sit here and draw cards for a couple of turns at least. I draw, I don't play land. Mind you, there's a known Gemstone Mine in my hand. And Chris cycles Decree of Justice for what looks like 4 after fetching for a basic plains. So 4, that is a 4-turn clock total. Where am I at 14? Yeah, it's a 4-turn clock. And there's 4 soldiers. I think a lot of people would concede here, and it's probably fine too. But if I do get those lands back, there's a non-zero chance the combo kill is something I can aim for since Chris has already used so much permission. Chris takes a draw for turn. He's going to play a land. And then I think I saw what he drew, and it's not good for me. He attacks for 4. And then is he just going to close the door here? Yeah, I think he's going to close the door here. Once he's counting his mana, he's going to make 2 angels, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Decree of Justice, make 2 4/4s. That's lethal. I can't cast Powder Keg even if I draw it, so that's going to do it. Let's get into the next game, which we're doing right now. And I get to be on the play for this one, which is really quite good for me. Let's see if the opener's good. If we keep a good 7, that's going to be really bad for Chris, because my good 7 probably has Soul Land plus Prison Piece, and that's going to be really hard for him to deal with. I've got 1 Soul Land plus Prison Piece, but 0 follow-ups. Yeah, we can't do that because Chris is going to make like every land drop. Chris also mulligans. Now, I know it seems like you should always keep Soul Land plus Prison Piece, but you need something to follow it up with, even if it's just 1 mana or a Mind Stone or something. That hand had none of that. So we're going to look at this 7, which also has Soul Land plus Prison Piece, and we're putting a Helix on the bottom because not super good in the early game, which makes sense. Chris's hand also looks pretty serviceable. He's probably supposed to ship that Parallax Tide, and that's exactly what he does. All right, I think we're off to the races with me on the play, so I'm immediately losing 2 life because I already know what my first play is. Ancient Tomb, no, I didn't know what my first play is. It's Shivan Reef into Goblin Welder. I did not lose 2, I lost 1. So maybe I don't have the Soul Land. Oh, I see what happened. My Soul Land is City of Traitors, that's not that good. Chris plays Strand and passes to me, and then I'm going to play City of Traitors. And then what are we doing here? We're just gonna jam out we're gonna jam out Mind Stone. See if Chris has anything to say about it. Then we're going to play Sphere of Resistance. This is a really good curve for me. Chris does have an opportunity to swords my Welder, which is exactly what he does. He's going to fetch, dropping down to 19, swords the Welder, but I now have a Sphere of Resistance, so Chris's non-annul counter magic is not going to have an effect on the game for a couple of turns now. We'll give Chris a little cut, and we are going to pass back to him. I'm back up at 20, thanks to the swords to Plowshares. Chris did draw a Chain of Vapor, which isn't the worst thing ever. He's going to play a tapped Coastal Tower with his land for turn. That's really good for me. That means Chris can't cast a spell, period. We're going to tap for 1, 2, 3, 4. And what is this spell? It's a Tangle Wire. That's real good for us. Tangle Wire is going to hold Chris down for a few turns here. Chris on taps. He does have a chance to cast Chain of Vapor here. I wonder if he needs to do that. He's going to tap for 2, and yeah, he's going to Chain of Vapor, targeting my Mind Stone. The thing is he doesn't want to target my Sphere of Resistance or my Tangle Wire because I'll be the first person to advantage off of that card leaving play, and then I can just redeploy it. Chris plays Flooded Strand and passes to me, so we'll roll down the Tangle Wire, tap 3 things, leaving our City of Traitors untapped. Then we'll take a draw, tap for 2. We're floating the 2. Are we going to play a layer land? Nope, we're just playing Ancient Tomb and sacrificing, but this gives us 4 mana, which is lots. We'll use 2 of it, 3 of it to play Mind Stone, and then do we have a follow-up? Nope, we're just playing Mind Stone. So Chris is going to untap 3, and then there's a Tangle Wire on 3, so he has to tap 3. He'll draw for turn, and then he's got a land drop, which is great. He'll pass to me. I'm going to do absolutely nothing, it looks like. Looks like I forgot to take damage off the Ancient Tomb. That's important. So we're actually at 18, not 20. We're going to leave Tangle Wire and Sphere of Resistance tapped to the Tangle Wire after rolling it down. Then we'll play Rishadan Port. There are no cities in play, so we're good there. And then we're going to, looks like we're using some life for this Ancient Tomb. 1, 2. What else? 3, 4. Are we going for something big? Second Tangle Wire, maybe? Thran Dynamo. Looks like it's just the Tangle Wire. Yeah, this is going to continue to hold Chris down. And 2 Tangle Wires seems like a lot, but for me, even though there's 6 counters across 2 Tangle Wires right now, when we go to my turn, it's going to go down by 2. So there will only be 4, meaning I can tap Tangle Wire, Sphere of Resistance, plus like my Mind Stone and be totally fine with it. Chris plays an island and passes to me. I'm going to untap. We're going to do exactly the thing I just said, where we roll one of them down, roll the other one down, tap 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, that's exactly right. Then we'll draw for turn. We did find a land. It's a Gemstone Mine. And then we've got Tinker, but I don't think we're supposed to use it just yet because we don't really have anything to do with it. We can go get like a wing con or something, but that walks right into Source the Plowshare, so it's probably better to just hold it here. Chris takes a draw. He taps 4, and then I just realized I Rishadan Ported the 5th land he left untapped. So now shields are totally down. One of our Tangle Wires is on 2, the other's on 0, so we can tap 2 Tangle Wires to the Tangle Wire triggers. Then I take a draw, and we've got Welder and Tinker now. This is bad for Chris. Looks like we're tapping, losing some life to the Ancient Tomb. I think we're leading on the Tinker. Otherwise, we wouldn't have tapped nearly that much mana. Yet we're going to Tinker probably the Tangle Wire. Looks like I tinkered my Mind Stone. Probably slightly better to tap to get the Tangle Wire with no counters on it, since it's just raw material that's going to sacrifice itself anyway. But ultimately, I think we're ahead enough where it's okay. We did get a Winter Orb, which is really good. We're also playing Goblin Welder. Now, I don't know how Chris is supposed to get out of this at this point. We do have a resolved port. I guess we don't have any. We might actually pay for sacrificing that Mind Stone, because now we can't like always have 2 lands up to port Chris after he untaps his 1 land. We're going to untap. We've got some triggers. We're also going to untap just the Ancient Tomb. We're going to roll down the Tangle Wire, tap the one that's going to die, then sacrifice it. Take a draw for turn. That's messed up. Our mistake doesn't matter. We drew a Tinker. We're going to tap the Welder, sacrifice Tangle Wire to get Tangle Wire. This is going to make sure Chris stays held down because we've got a Winter Orb in play. And then we're passing to Chris, he's at the point where he just got to tap permanents down. He plays Mishra's Factory, it's just going to get tapped down next turn. We're at a point where this lock doesn't have to stop because Chris will only ever have access to 1 mana, so he can't even cast swords. Looks like we're tapping 3 to the Tangle Wire after rolling it down, including the Goblin Welder, because we want to hold up the Rishadan Port, which makes a lot of sense here. Okay, Chris is just counting, making sure why didn't I untap those lands? It's because I have a Winter Orb. Then Chris has to tap 1 and untap and draw. And then he passes to me, so I'm going to untap. I'm going to roll the Tangle Wire down to 2, get 1 more land untapped, and then I have to tap 2 permanents, so it's just Tangle Wire plus Sphere of Resistance. Then we take a card draw, and it looks like a City of Traitors, which is quite good here. We do have a second Winter Orb in hand as well that we're probably supposed to play, but this Goblin Welder is very active now as well. We're tapping for 1, 2, 3, 4, losing 2 life, dropping down to 11. Are we just going to play the Winter Orb? Looks like it. That's a Winter Orb. We're not tinkering, probably because we don't know what we want quite yet. Chris has to play Mishra's Factory. He's already tapped down. We're kind of shortcutting at this point to get the speed going, because I think this game actually took in real life 52 minutes to play, because we're both playing prison deck kind of. I'll untap, leave the Tangle Wire tapped. I will play a... Looks like... Oh, I think I'm asking Chris, did I not sack a City of Traitors? I played it as land for turn last turn. We're good. We tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, going down to... We're really beating the crap out of ourselves there. We're dropping down to 8. And then we're going to play Tinker, sacrificing a Winter Orb. I think I remember what I do here. We have a Welder. We get Tsabo's Web. Tsabo's Web's going to accomplish 2 things. A, Chris is going to... Even if he deals with the Welder, he won't have any manlands or Death Bowls available. But more importantly, Tsabo's Web draws a card when it enters. So this is the best thing to tinker for. That way I can just gain value while Chris is in prison. So we draw a card, then we can use the Welder to loop Tsabo's Web and keep getting card draws. But before we do that, we're going to trade Tangle Wires with the Welder. That way Chris stays in jail. Chris takes a draw for turn. Does he find a land? He does not. So we'll untap, we'll roll down the Tangle Wire, tap it, and the Tsabo's Web and the Sphere of Resistance. Draw a Tinker. And then, I don't know how Chris gets out of this. I think we're just going to pass, where Chris untaps. And then he tries to chain a Vapor, but there's a Sphere of Resistance just in play. So he has to tap his land down. He's never going to have more than 2 mana. It's not something that can happen. Chris probably is supposed to concede here. I can't think of any way to actually break up what's happening right now. At the end of Chris's turn, I will sack Tsabo's Web, and I'm going to buy back Mind Stone. And then I'm probably just going to draw off the Mind Stone. Oh, I'm explaining to Chris what the game's going to look like, and Chris sees it. He concedes here, which I think is correct. Those were very tight, good games. All right, that game 2 got me a little scared, but we wound up getting there. We are 3-0 going into round 4, and our opponent's going to be the person we actually played over on Heavy Play's channel. That's Ryan Gates. He's going to be playing Recurring Nightmare Survival, or Rec Sur. Some people will call it Rock Sur. It's a black-green deck that's very mid-rangey, and it uses Survival of the Fittest to just develop a mid-range game plan. There's no real combos in this deck. It is solidly mid-range. Let's hop into the games. All right, getting into it here, we're going to high roll. If memory serves, I think we high roll the same number a bunch of times until Ryan actually makes us switch dice. And if I'm not mistaken, Ryan does end up winning the die roll. I'm not sure what this matchup is supposed to look like. We've only played it this time, and then the other time on Heavy Play's channel, you should check that video out. But I do know that it's going to be quite grindy. We're both interested in going into a pretty late point of the game where our game plans kind of open up and we're able to get away with whatever we want. I will say Ryan has access to green, which is the color of Naturalize, and our deck is mostly just naturalizable targets. That said, the Rec Sur deck isn't quite like the Rock. He's not playing Pernicious Deed. So cards like Goblin Welder tend to stay in play for a while in this particular matchup. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Looks like I think I'm keeping, and Ryan might be going back to, yeah, this is his second mulligan. So Ryan, unfortunately, going to 5. That said, if Ryan can find a survival and a creature, it's almost like he never mulliganed. He'll be able to buy back all that value immediately. Looks like he finds a 5 that he does like. So he puts 2 on the bottom, and it looks like Ryan is going to be starting with just a basic forest and pass to us. So we'll take a draw step, and then this is powerful. We're going to lead on Ancient Tomb, immediately lose 2 life for a Sphere of Resistance, meaning if Ryan wanted to develop a survival or a Wall of Roots, he cannot this turn. He plays forest and passes, because he's got no Birds of Paradise, which I do believe are included in his deck. I'll play a Shivan Reef and just pass back. Notably, I do have a Winter Orb. I'm probably waiting for Ryan to tap out before I expose it. And he does tap out here for the Wall of Roots, so that did slow him down by an entire turn. And with nothing else to do, he passes to me, so I'll take a draw step, and I believe, yep, we're going to lose 2 life here. And we're going to play Winter Orb, which is perfect. Then we're going to play an Ancient Tomb. Our mana base is extremely painful, but if Ryan's kind of locked out, he's not going to be able to pressure us very convincingly. Ryan draws and simply passes back, so I untap 1 Ancient Tomb as my untapped land. Then I play a Gemstone Mine, comes in with 2, because I'm using 1 right away. Tapping for 5, losing 4 life to both of my Ancient Tombs. And we're just playing a Masticore out. If Ryan can't get around this Masticore, it's probably going to win the game very quickly. This is a top 10% opener for what my deck's trying to do. Ryan simply untaps a land and passes the turn. I believe he has an Uktabi Orangutan in his hand, and I didn't have the mana to regenerate the Masticore right then, but he's a mana short to cast it, which is really good for us. We'll play City of Traitors, get in for 4. Ryan's not going to block, probably because if he blocks, I'll just put a point of damage on the Wall of Roots with the Masticore, and Ryan's even further behind that mana, which is going to be really bad for him. Ryan takes an untap, draws for turn. In this turn, it feels like he has to do something. Looks like it's going to be a Wall of Roots, which is a great way to play around the Sphere of Resistance. The Winter Orb's still going to make this a little bit difficult for him, but he does have extra blockers in play now, and this Masticore is pressuring. We are going to feed the dog by pitching Crosis' Catacombs, take a little draw for turn, and simply get in for 4. Ryan's going to continue not to block. He knows that he's not in danger of dying just yet. If it gets to that point, he can start blocking, but he probably needs his Wall of Roots around, and he's probably sniffed out that I will absolutely put a point of damage on whichever Wall of Roots blocked my Masticore. Looks like I'm tapping for 3, paying a mana, or a life. For red, we're playing Goblin Welder. This is going to be really, really hard for Ryan to overcome. Now I can start to get out from underneath my own Winter Orb and put a ton of damage on any creature that Ryan actually puts into play. He'll draw for turn. It's a land, which is really good for him here, because he's going to play the Lawmore Wastes. And then unfortunately, I have an Ancient Tomb up. I think I remember how this play goes. You have 1, 2, then activate both Wall of Roots, putting a counter on, yep, both of them. And 4 mana does spell Uktabi Orangutan. It's Uktabi Orangutan. He's going to target the Masticore, and I think I'm going to drop down to 9 life, pay 2 mana, and regenerate the Masticore. Uktabi Orangutan isn't terminating. It absolutely can be regenerated. So that's, it at least gives him a chump blocker, so that's not nothing. Then after that, Ryan's going to pass to me, so I'll untap 1 Ancient Tomb. My Masticore, I'll feed it with Triskelion. This is a really cool point about Masticore. In this deck, Masticore's discard thing can be an upside instead of a downside. Now we have a Trike in the graveyard with the Resolved Welder, meaning I didn't have to go through the trouble of casting the Triskelion to get it in the bin, which is really good. We're going to send in the Masticore. He blocks with Uktabi Orangutan. And then it looks like I'm going to try to pass back. I do. Ryan untaps a Black Source. He's got access to 3 mana. His hand looks quite weak here. The only thing he could do right now is, I guess, concede. All right, Ryan's conceding, which does make sense. We're kind of in a commanding position. He probably just wants to get going to game number 2. All right, before we go into game 2, we have to talk about sideboarding. Before then, a lot of you might notice that Ryan actually conceded a little bit preemptively. Maybe you're wondering why he did that. He knew what position he was in because we've played this matchup before in this tournament. During round 1, when we both had a bye, we were the people tied for the leaderboard winner. And if you want to see who won that, you can go look at Heavy Play's channel. Here's a link to that video right there. It'll be also either in the pinned comment or the description if you want to look at it after the video. But in order to break the tie, we had to play a match, meaning we already played this matchup, so Ryan knows what the late game looks like once we get to a certain point. And to conserve time, he did just concede. And looking at the way the game played out, I do more or less agree with it. What are we doing for sideboard? We're going to take out 1 Tsabo's Web. It has he has no man lands, no utility lands in his mana base. So all it's doing is cycling with our Welder in order to draw us cards. And we always have the 1 copy in the deck left if we need to tinker for it. but we're taking the extra copy out because it's not actually doing anything outside of drawing us cards. We're also going to lose a Smokestack because Ryan's going to go much wider than us very quickly. So Smokestack, there will be some situations where I want to have one in my deck to tinker for it, but I don't really want to draw it naturally because it's usually going to be me who gets punished the most for having to sacrifice extra permanents. What we're bringing in is one Powder Keg. A Powder Keg on 1 can be pretty good. Powder Keg on 2 against Ryan's deck can be very good because of the combination of Wall of Roots, but also the Withered Wretch, who can mess with our graveyard. So that's going to be quite good as well. And then a Phyrexian Furnace, because it's graveyard hate into a graveyard-centric deck that wants to use cards like Squee, Goblin, Nabob in order to just make infinite creatures. So that's how we sideboard it. Let's get into game number 2. All right, hopping into game 2, Ryan's probably going to be on the play. It'd be weird if he decided to take the draw. And let's hope we can both maybe keep 7-card hands. That would be pretty ideal. I know you can't see mine, but I have Sphere of Resistance. I think I'll take this hand if there's a Soul Land. We've got a Welder, a Sphere of Resistance, a Red Source, and a Soul Land. There's no way we're mulliganing this. And Ryan says keep as well, so we're going to get started right off the bat. A lot more wastes. Pay a life for a black Cabal Therapy. I remember what he names it is going to be Goblin Tinkerer or Goblin Welder. And as I just told you, there's a Welder in my hand, so he does hit, which is quite good for him. This means our only turn 1 play is Sphere, but we'd have to open on City of Traitors, which would not be ideal. We pick up a Tinker as our draw for turn, and I imagine we're just going to kind of play the Shivan Reef out and pass. That's exactly what we do. Ryan takes a draw. He plays a second Lawnmower Waste, kind of a painful mana base, but that'll be fine because I think he's about to cast a Wall of Roots that I saw in his hand. That's exactly what he does. Notably, he hasn't cast a single Survival yet in these games, so that's got to be kind of tough. We're going to play our City of Traitors, tap it for 2, and we're going to play Mind Stone, and then we do have a Sphere, so yep, we'll tap the Mind Stone plus the Shivan Reef to play Sphere of Resistance in an attempt to slow the game down even more. Ryan takes a draw step. He does draw Withered Wretch, which I believe he drew a Tinkerer or a Welder last turn, so that's pretty good. He's going to develop a second Wall of Roots, and this means on his following turn, he'll be able to do something like Withered Wretch plus Naturalize if he wants to. No, he won't. There's a Sphere of Resistance, so I take that back. Sphere is really good here. I'm going to play the Welder, and Ryan's, there's no audio from this. I mean, I have it, but I'm not going to clunk up the video. But Ryan's like, of course, you drew it right after I therapied the one in your hand, which is a bummer for him. We're just going to pass the turn. And then Ryan's going to, he does find his land drop. So 5 land's actually not bad here. He can like Duress plus Naturalize if he wanted to. He taps for 3, losing, it looks like 2 life to both those Lawnmower Wastes because he's playing a Withered Wretch. He probably did that because he said, oh, look, there's a Welder. I need to get out from under this Welder before he can start activating it, which makes good sense to me. I'm going to take a draw for turn. I'm going to activate Mind Stone for 1 mana, then 2, 3, 4. That's 4 mana total. Losing a life, and the only thing that would cause me to lose life is Reef, so it's got to be Tinker, right? Yep, that's a Tinker. We're going to Tinker away our Mind Stone. I imagine the card we're supposed to get here is Trike, and that's exactly what we do. Trike lets us take out the Withered Wretch and start to actually use our Welder. With the Withered Wretch in play, the Welder's just going to be like completely shut out, because he's got those Wall of Roots that can make mana. So I'm going to shoot it for a point of damage. Looks like Ryan's going to respond by adding a counter to one of his Wall of Roots, and he's going to try to exile the Mind Stone in my graveyard. I do have a response to this, because, yeah, he's holding it in play still. I'm going to take off another counter. Looks like I want to tag it with the last point of damage to actually kill the Withered Wretch in response. And then what else am I going to do? I imagine I might try to get this Mind Stone in response to get him to use his other Wall of Roots to have to re-exile it again. But we're just kind of shortcutting this. Yeah, I'm going to sacrifice the Triskelion after tagging him with an additional point of damage and then getting back my Mind Stone. So there was a point where Ryan could have exiled the Mind Stone. He probably wants to conserve the toughnesses of his Wall of Roots if I had to take a guess though. So we played a Rishadan Port. So in Ryan's turn, we're tapping down the Lawnmower Wastes, prisoning him out pretty convincingly. And then does he have a play here? He does have a Naturalize in his hand. That's not nothing. He'll tap for 1, 2. And then looks like he's losing a life because he wants to Duress me. Duress is kind of a double-edged sword in this matchup. Looks like his only target's going to be this Ensnaring Bridge. And by putting it in the graveyard, I can now just like put it into play with Welder. Duress is kind of weird in this matchup. You really just want to be hitting Tinker with it if there's a Resolve Welder in play. I draw, I play another City of Traitors and show him a Tinker in my hand, and he decides to pick it up. He doesn't think he can beat another Tinker, and I agree. We're kind of getting to the late point of the tournament. All right, we're 4-0 locked for the cut to top 4, and our round 5 opponent is Michael Atkinson playing a really cool take on a deck we actually haven't covered on the channel yet called Turtle Splash. It's going to, it's this, I can never remember the name, but this is the name of the card that does it. Basically, you have this card enchanted with the Dance of the Dead or an Animate Dead, and you get to keep splashing it back from the graveyard to get like infinite creatures to sack is really what this deck does with it, because he is going to use Altar of Dementia to try to mill me out, something I have no recourse for. So this is just going to be a combo mirror race to who can get their combo first. Let's get into the last round of Swiss. All right, getting into it as usual, we're going to high roll. We're enough removed from this tournament that I legitimately have already forgotten how the rest of the games in this tournament goes. However, Mike does win this die roll. Now, like I said in the intro, I'm not really super versed with how Turtle Splash works. I know that I've watched Mike playing his games throughout the tournament because my matches sometimes finished earlier than his. And looking at some of the board states, the deck, it's definitely a combo deck, but like the accelerants in the deck, like Lion's Eye Diamond plus like Tangle Wire, are going to kind of break parity on the speed at which both players are playing the game. Mike will usually be the one ahead. So he was able to execute his combo in a lot of really weird spots. And we'll see if he can do it here. Now, Mike did have to mulligan to 6. It looks like I'm keeping my 7. If I mulliganed, I didn't catch it. So Mike puts a card at the bottom, and we are off to the races. Mike leads on a Lawnmower Wastes, and is going to, I believe he taps for black here to Cabal Therapy. The first Cabal Therapy name is Tinker, and I do believe he misses. Yep, if he would have named Welder, he would have been good, but he's going to name the Tinker. I'll play this open both for him and for you guys watching at home. Although I'm kind of in front of it, so maybe you can't see it, but you got to peek at it. We'll play Ancient Tomb and then do the best thing my deck can do, which is a turn 1 Sphere of Resistance. This is going to slow Mike down a lot. He's got a ton of 0 drops in his deck, so he's going to have to pay for them, including this Lion's Eye Diamond, which he did just pay for. I'm going to untap, take a little draw for turn. We're going to play Rishadan Port and just pass probably because, yep, I'm going to tap down one of Mike's lands in his upkeep to the port, losing 2 life to my Ancient Tomb. I have not taken any damage from Mike. I am at 16 due to my own mana base. Mike drops a city, taps for 3, and plays one of the combo pieces. This is Altar of Dementia. This is how I'm going to get milled out if Mike manages to string together the entire combo. I play Shivan Reef. And do we have a play here, or do you want to keep like holding Mike underneath my port? Looks like we're tapping out for something. Maybe it can't be Thran Dynamo. It's got to be a 3-drop. It's a Tangle Wire. Okay, that's basically going to do what Rishadan Port's been doing for me so far, but way better. It's on 4. Mike's only got 5 permanents. Notably, Lion's Eye Diamond does not tap to make mana. I don't know what Mike has in hand at this point in the game. At least the me that's playing this game, I can kind of see here. But Mike secretly has 5 mana right now thanks to the Lion's Eye Diamond. He'll tap for 3, paying the extra for a Living Wish, and he grabs a Gamekeeper. This is effectively like an Oath of Druids trigger. When it goes to the graveyard, you just basically trigger Oath of Druids. Getting it into the graveyard is like super easy. He's got a Altar of Dementia in play. You can just do it for free. In my turn, it looks like I've tapped down Tangle Wire, Sphere of Resistance, and Shivan Reef, and no land drop, so I'm just passing back. Mike's going to untap and tap 3, and then before he draws, it looks like I'm tapping his Lawnmower Wastes with my Rishadan Port, dropping down to 12. Remember, Mike hasn't dealt a single point of damage to me. He'll pass back. Tangle Wire is going to keep my artifacts tapped down, and I'll get all of my mana. Then I'll draw for turn. Looks like we're playing a second Tangle Wire. That's pretty brutal. This means Mike's not going to be able to get very much done, especially with the Sphere of Resistance in play. I don't think Mike can get the critical mass he needs to actually start comboing. He draws and passes. No land drop is huge for me. Mind you, you can see in known information if I wasn't in front of the cards, there's a known Goblin Welder in my hand. So at any point that this Tangle Wire, because there's 2 in play, when one goes through the graveyard, I can start using the Welder to recycle them and have like multiple Tangle Wires going at the same time, which would be very brutal. Looks like we're going to deploy one of those Goblin Welders and pass the turn back. My red also cost me life, so I'm now at 9 life. Mike has done no points of damage. Mike untaps. He has to tap 4 here because of the 2 Tangle Wires. One's on 3, one's on 1. He leaves himself with a forest, draws, and passes because he can't cast anything except for a 0 drop if he had it because of that Sphere of Resistance. I'm untapping, I stack my triggers so I remove the counters first, then I tap, so I've only got 2, it's both the Tangle Wires. I'll take a draw. It looks like I just drew another Tangle Wire, which I'm casting. That's brutal. So now it's on 6, so Mike's going to continue to be held under the Tangle Wires. After that, do we have a land to play? Nope. Looks like we're going to combat and attacking with the Welder. There's no artifacts in my graveyard, and there won't be until I untap, so there's no reason to leave it untapped. We'll pass to Mike. Mike's going to untap, but immediately retap. Is this good content, you guys? Just watching me solitaire against this? Don't worry. I'm not going to be playing this deck for a while when it comes to playing in-person events. I just really wanted to get one for all the stack sickos out there. We're going to stack my triggers the way you would think. Tap all my artifacts, lose one of my Tangle Wires, and now I still have a Goblin Welder, so that's insane. Looks like we're floating 2 and playing Crosis' Catacombs. We'll bounce the Ancient Tomb, so we've got 2 in the pool right now. There's like a million things we could do. I wonder what we're going to do. Tap for 1, 2, 3 more, so that's 6 mana. Then we're going to play a Thran Dynamo. So that was 6 mana, Thran costs 5, so there's 1 floating. Are we doing anything with that? Looks like we're going to sacrifice our dead Tangle Wire for a fresh one, which is going to mean Mike's going to get, it's 7. You have to tap 7, so Mike still has no permanents untapped, which is really mean. Mind you, Mike does have Tangle Wire in his deck as well. He'll play Gemstone Mine on 3 counters, and looks like he's going to extend something into play. It's a Lotus Petal. So Mike's got like a bounty of mana. If he has any of the combo in his hand right now, we know he's got a Gamekeeper. Then he would be able to probably shut us down here. But these Tangle Wires, they show no signs of going anywhere, because Mike's deck is, I think there's little to maybe no removal in the main board. So this Welder is just not under threat of being removed at any point. I'm going to play that Ancient Tomb back out. I'm at 5, by the way. I've paid 15 life just to use my mana this game. But Mike's not putting any pressure in play, so I can go to 1 safely. Looks like I'm going down to 3, tapping the Ancient Tomb into Thran Dynamo, and I'm playing Smokestack. Smokestack's probably going to be the thing that ends this particular game that we're playing, because I can remember that when I Smokestack, I get to sacrifice nothing, then put a soot counter on it. So this probably will just get Mike to sacrifice every single one of his permanents if it's out for like maybe 3 turns. And then when I'm done with it, I can just welder it away. So it's super asymmetrical here. Mike having to tap down 7 permanents to the Tangle Wire, so he's completely tapped out now. Takes a draw for turn. Is there anything he can do from here? Or is he just going to pass? Looks like he's thinking about something. It might be a concession. Yep, it looks like Mike's taking a concession. He sees the loop that we're in here. We win game 1. All right, before we can get into the second game, we have some sideboarding to do. Unfortunately for Mike, our deck prisoned as hard as I think it's prisoned all event, so I'm not sure what Mike had in hand. We know that he Living Wished for the Gamekeeper, which I believe is part of how the combo gets started, but he wasn't able to get there. He luckily did have the artifact in play. I think it was Claws of Gix or Altar, one of the two. He would have been able to start the thing right away, immediately get the Oath of Druids trigger. We did not end up there because of all the Tangle Wires. I'm going to be cutting 1 Mishra's Helix. It's a big 5-drop. Usually if I'm tinkering, I think I either want to be winning the game or potentially getting a Smokestack, since in this matchup, I think his combo is somewhat mana intensive, being that there's a bunch of Lion's Eye Diamonds in the deck. And that's my only cut. I'm going to be bringing in a Phyrexian Furnace, because I know the combo involves grabbing something from the graveyard and putting it into play. So a Phyrexian Furnace being up and something that I can tinker for if I need to is going to be pretty effective. That's everything you got to know. So let's hop into game number 2. All right, unfortunately, we didn't get to see any cool Turtle Splash things, but this time Mike's on the play. I think he was on the play for the first one too, but I stacks out really quickly. So we're going to take a look at our opening hands and see if we can get there. I'm not sure what Mike sideboarded. You saw what I did, which is very light-handed. I imagine Mike with a Living Wish board can't sideboard super aggressively, but I have to imagine some of the naturalizes come in. Looks like we're both going to 6. The 6 is a little bit easier on me because I'm on the draw, so I'm up a resource already. And I don't think this matchup goes super quickly. I'm not sure how fast Turtle Splash can win, but it's probably difficult to execute a combo win through all the stacks pieces. Looks like we both found hands we're happy with. Mike leads on a Lion's Eye Diamond after a Lawnmower Waste and passes to me. We're going to play a City of Traitors, immediately tap it for Sphere of Resistance, I think. Yep, it's a Sphere. It looks like I'm thinking about Sphere versus Mind Stone, but I go with the Sphere, which I do agree with. Pass to Mike, he plays a second Lawnmower Waste, taps it, plays out the Claws of Gix, paying for the Sphere. Claws of Gix is another way to like gain a bunch of life when you're doing the combo. I think you can go up mana with the combo. I really need to do some reading up on Turtle Splash. I go Shivan Reef, sack the city, play Mind Stone, pass. Mike's going to take a draw for turn, and then play Ancient Tomb. Mike has many soul lands in his mana base as well. Ancient Tomb, City of Traitors, all the good stuff. He taps and plays Altar of Dementia, making sure to pay 3 mana for it and 2 life off of the Ancient Tomb. And then unless he's using his diamond, he's got nothing else to do, so he passes to me. I'll take a draw, play out another City of Traitors, and then we're going to tap for what looks like 4 and play Tangle Wire. So now I've got the Wombo combo of Sphere of Resistance plus Tangle Wire, which is just always going to be difficult to get out from under. Mind you, the Lion's Eye Diamond, like I mentioned in game 1, does not need to be tapped to activate it. It just gets sacrificed. I'm not exactly sure how he's supposed to sequence it here, but at any point, I think Mike could try to go for the combo. Mind you, this is an Oath of Druids deck, and unless I have like a Welder out, he usually won't get Oath triggers. I would be shocked if he still has Oaths left in the deck post-board. We're going to my turn. I'm going to tap for a colorless, and what did I do here? I have no clue. Oh, I tapped for my Tangle Wire, then I drew a card. I see what happened. Play Crosis' Catacombs, do the coolest trick in the deck where you tap 2 with your City of Traitors, then bounce it to the Crosis' Catacombs with the trigger to sacrifice on the stack. I'll play a Goblin Welder, And then we're just debating, do I lose life? But I don't, because I used City of Traitors to make the red. Not City of Traitors, Crosis' Catacombs. We're going to go to Mike's turn. He taps down 3, draws. This particular game, the Tangle Wire is not doing nearly as much work. Mike's going to play Cabal Therapy. And let's see what they name. Smokestack looks like. Do we see a Smokestack? Interesting. I wonder if you're supposed to name Smokestack here, because if he does name Smokestack, couldn't I just tap my Welder and get Smokestack back from the graveyard? Doesn't really matter here because he misses. It's 2 Thran Dynamos, then Mike's just going to pass back to me. My Tangle Wire is going to roll back down to 2, then I'll just tap both of my artifacts, leaving my mana sources all untapped. And we're going to play that City of Traitors right back out, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana, but a Sphere of Resistance, so kind of effectively 4-ish if we're going on 1 spell a turn. Then I'll tap the Crosis' Catacombs and tap the Shivan Reef for a second Goblin Welder. This game, my life total under much, much less duress, which is great. We can't deploy any of these Thran Dynamos, but we have like the full setup. Multiple Goblin Welders, some stacks pieces, the ability to shuffle them up. So now we just need to hope that Mike doesn't just kill us. He plays Ancient Tomb and passes to me. So we'll untap, but look, we're probably just going to leave that Tangle Wire tap to itself. And we will draw. It looks like I just drew Sphere of Resistance, which is probably a fine play here. Looks like I'm actually going to crack my Mind Stone instead. I can see why I did that. Mike's got so much mana. I don't know if a Sphere of Resistance actually changes the texture of the game very much. We'll get the Mind Stone back by using the Welder. And then what else do we got here? Tap the Mind Stone, add another mana, tap for 1 more. That's 3. What costs 3? Is it the Sphere? We're playing the Sphere out. If nothing else, it's material for the Welders, which is kind of nice. I would actually be surprised if I didn't just do what I'm doing right now. Yeah, put Tangle Wire right back into play on 4 counters. We don't know how much it's slowing Mike down right now, but it's a non-zero amount, so we'll take it. And we can afford to tap down our 3 artifacts in our turn. And if it ever gets to be too much, we can obviously sack the Tangle Wire with the Goblin Welder. Mike taps down 4. He's going to take his little draw for turn. And then we're going to tap for Ancient Tomb for 2 and play Lion's Eye Diamond, paying for both Sphere of Resistances. This time, Mike's the one paying a bunch of life to his mana base. He's down at 15 and passes to me. I'll do the thing I said I'd do, tap all my artifacts and take a draw step. It feels like if you draw Tinker at any point, we're probably in good shape. If this game goes too long, Mike will get the critical mass he needs to execute the combo and mill us out. We don't have any Gaia's Blessings or anything, so that is just lethal. Mike takes a draw, and then he's going to... Ooh, looks like he just drew a Naturalize. The promo Naturalized, the Doseki is Naturalized that we gave out at the event for Walk-ins. Looks like I'm going to activate Goblin Welder, targeting Mind Stone and Tangle Wire, and it looks like that works. And then are we just going to sack the Mind Stone? It looks like we're doing some digging. Yeah, we're going to sack the Mind Stone, take a draw. Now we've got another Welder, and I don't know that Mike has Naturalized, so if I activate this Welder, this would be the prime time for Mike to get busy with his Naturalize. We're targeting the Mind Stone, trying to get rid of the Sphere. Looks like it works. And then we're going to sack the Mind Stone and draw a card. Then we're on tapping, or no, it looks like Mike's letting that resolve, and now he's going to pull the trigger on the duress, not the duress, the Naturalize potentially. And he does exactly that. He's going to Naturalize the Sphere of Resistance. Now I don't have any material in play for my Goblin Welders. So that's a little bit of a headache, because luckily there's no Sphere, so I can just jam a Thran Dynamo. But if I'm playing Dynamo, it's really just as material for the Welders. So this is kind of a spooky spot, because now it looks like Mike's going to have access to way more resources than we've been letting him have up to this point in the game. Tap for 2, Crosis' Catacombs, pick up the City of Traitors, the normal combo. There's a reason we're playing 3 layer lands in our 2-color deck. We'll tap for 1 more, 2 more, so that's 4 mana. It's got to be Thran Dynamo, right? Thran Dynamo. I wonder if we're supposed to play the second Dynamo. We have enough mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we do exactly that. Second Thran Dynamo. Now we've got 3 mana. Tap it for an Ensnaring Bridge. Doesn't do anything, but it is material for our Tangle Wire. We'll take material for the Tangle Wire. Looks like we're passing, just leaving everything untapped. Now, we don't have a Tsabo's Web, unfortunately, but if we're kind of doing the trick with the Mind Stone where we're drawing extra cards, but we're going down resources when we do that. If we could just find a Tsabo's Web, this point in the game, you could just draw 2 cards a turn, and that would be crazy. Mike just goes Forest Pass, so am I gonna do anything on end step? Looks like yes, I'm gonna tap my Goblin Welder, hit Ensnaring Bridge, and am I gonna get back Mind Stone? Looks like it. Mind Stone comes back into play, we'll untap. Now I've just got to redraw. I think that's the whole reason I did that. We draw for turn. We've got a good size hand, 5 cards in hand, but a lot of it's just air at the moment. Looks like we're popping the Mind Stone. Yep, we're gonna draw 1 card. That looked like it was another Mind Stone. We'll play Shivan Reef. And then, are we doing anything else here? We could pop off a couple more redraws if we had to here. We're activating the Welder, sacrificing the Thran Dynamo after floating 3. And we're getting Mind Stone, and we're going to use one of the 3 to pop it immediately. I just saw a flash of blue in that draw. That means that was probably a Tinker, meaning it's got to be Triskelion time, right? Just get rid of Thran Dynamo. Unless we've got like that Mind Stone in hand. We could like play that. Yeah, we're going up to 6 mana, blue and 5 colorless. Play Mind Stone, 3 colorless and a blue left. Go down to 1 colorless, use the blue, Tinker. Okay, so the Tinker is going to happen. Mike doesn't have any responses, so I believe we'll be searching, and it's got to be a Triskelion. Yep, yeah, Triskelion's the play here, because I've got 2 Welders, so the clock off of 1 Triskelion is incredibly fast. So you've got a 4/4 here. It's like naturalized proof thanks to all these Welders, so now Mike just needs to find a way to combo us, otherwise it is lights out. Mike's going to play City of Traitors and just pass back. Mike is flooding out really bad. He's got 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds, he's got 7 lands, Claws of Gix, Altar of Dementia. He's just missing the B part to his AB combo. I think it's technically ABC. At end step, it looks like I'm going to shoot Mike a bunch and then sacrifice my Thran Dynamo to get back my Triskelion. This is just going to make it so Mike takes more damage and then I can attack with the Triskelion. I think is my game plan here. I'll take a draw for turn. There's no city, so playing the City of Traitors is safe, and I attack for 4. That's going to bring Mike to, let's see here, 6. He's at 6. Now, mind you, he has Claws of Gix, which is pay a colorless, sack a permanent, gain a life. So I can't just go all in right now. I'm going to tap some mana, play a Thran Dynamo, and then I wonder if looks like we're doing stuff in our main phase. I'll shoot Mike once. I'll shoot Mike twice. I believe that's going to bring him down to 4. Yep, 4 life. Then we're going to, I believe, shoot the Triskelion to itself. Nope, we're shooting Mike. Looks like we're just going to sack the Triskelion. A trick you can do is to shoot the Triskelion itself if you want to save on Welder activations, but I don't think we're in a spot where we need to do that. Now we're going to activate Goblin Welder, sacrificing Triskelion, and we're targeting Tangle Wire. Mike has a response. He's doing the thing. He's going to activate Claws of Gix, sacrifice one of his painful mana pieces, Ancient Tomb, to go up to 4. And is he going to do another one? Nope. He's got 1 floating, so he could do another one if he needed to, but that doesn't happen. I'm going to get Tangle Wire going. I'm going to try to pass. We'll see if he sacrifices anything. He does not. He has to tap 4 to Tangle Wire, which at this point he honestly doesn't care about. I think we just put the Tangle Wire in play to hold him down as much as possible so he can't over mana sink into the Claws of Gix. Looks like there's a Powder Keg. Powder Keg's really relevant here because if he can live long enough to get it to 1, he can blow up my Welders. That would be problematic. Looks like I'm activating a Welder, getting back Triskelion. Are we just going to shoot here? I mean, both of our Welders are tapped, so it makes more sense to just get the attack in, I think. Does Mike have any responses? It looks like he does. He's going to tap for a green. It's got to be Claws, right? Yep, sacrifice Ancient Tomb. Gain a life to the Claws of Gix. This should put him up at 5. 5 is not a safe life total, but he's got mana to play with. At least 3, it looks like. And if he really needs to go crazy, he's got the Lion's Eye Diamonds as well. But if he goes too deep, he just won't have permanents, and that'll be problematic. We're going to swing for 4. Mike's going to tap the Lawnmower Waste, assumedly for a colorless. And is he going to sack the Powder Keg? That's a tough spot. He's got to sack Powder Keg to gain the life, which is it's good to gain the life, but now he can't get rid of the Welders. I'm sacking another permanent, going up to 7. I think he has to do 8 here, though, right? Maybe he needs to, like, sacrifice he's doing the Claws, or maybe a Lion's Eye Diamond's better. Looks like it's just a land. He's going to sacrifice the Lawnmower Waste and go up to 8. Now, that's a nice, healthy life total, but we're pre-damaged, so if damage happens, which it looks like it is, Mike's going to drop down to 4. Then the Triskelion is, I think we could kill here. Looks like we're just shooting Mike down to 1, and then activating Welder. Sacrifice Trike to get Tangle Wire, maybe? I pointed at the Tangle Wire. Here I could just use the Goblin Welder to put it back in play. No, I couldn't. He has Lion's Eye Diamond, so he could save himself. He would go Hellbent, but he could save himself. And I don't think he has that many cards in hand to begin with. So we're going to pass to Mike. He's going to untap. He's going to take a draw. He's going to leave the 4 artifacts tapped to the Tangle Wire as well. Then he's going to play Jinxed Idol. During your upkeep, it deals 2 damage to you. Sack it, target. Opponent gains control of it permanently. I don't think that's for this matchup. And we're setting our cards down, so Mike sees it. He's just dead to the Triskelion. All right, going into the semifinals, our opponent is a known quantity. It's someone you see on the channel all the time. It is the landlord Guy Scott, and he is on red-green goblins. This matchup presents us with a lot of issues. If you've been watching the tournament up to this point, you know my deck doesn't really play any removal, and turn 1 Lackey is something that Guy can get away with, so we're super worried about that. Guy also does have multiple naturalizes in the main. He can go up to 4 naturalizes post board, and then there's 2 Goblin Tinkers. Definitely have a work cut out for us in this matchup, so let's go ahead and jump into the games. All right, like I said in the intro, there's going to be no die roll because Guy's coming in at 2nd place. I'm coming in at 3rd, so he's got high seat. So he's obviously going to choose 2 behind the play. So the first thing to do is see if we have any opening hands on 7. I'm going to mulligan fairly aggressively. I imagine Guy's going to mulligan even more aggressively because he knows, we both know each other's lists, and he knows exactly how strong a turn 1 lackey is going to be. And he does have that. Looks like we're both keeping 7. My hand looks fine. His looks unbeatable. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do about that. And he's on the play, so that's not great for me. All right. There he is. He knows how good his hand is. He's going to open on Mountain and play a lackey. And then I really want him to put that back in his hand, but he's not going to do that. We'll draw for turn, play City of Traitors. Nothing is good enough to follow this up. I'll play a Mind Stone, but if Guy has like a Siege Gang commander, I think it's lights out. There's no board wipes on my main board, so I can't contend with that this early. He's going to attack with the lackey. I'll drop to 19, trigger the lackey. Lackey's going to put in a Siege Gang commander. I'm already going to call it. There's no way we can win this game, but for the sake of this video, we do play all of these games out completely. So he's going to pass to me, tap my City of Traitors in my upkeep with the Rishadan Port, further locking me out of interacting with anything. I play Crosis, bounce the City of Traitors, normally a really cool interaction. Here doesn't even feel close to good enough because I've time walked myself, and he's still got that port. Guy's going to head to combat for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like. And then once I take that, there's going to be another lackey trigger. He's going to be able to cheat another goblin into play, and it looks like he's going for a war chief. It is a war chief. So now his goblins are all going to cost 1 less and have haste. He plays Carpul's and Forest, a little bit of green because there's naturalizes in his main board and sideboard. Plays a Mog Fanatic and passes to me. In my upkeep, I'm like, you want to tap this? He does. I'll draw, and we're going to play that City of Traitors back out. Doesn't seem great. What 3-drop could I play? I don't play anything. My hand doesn't look like it's going to interact. I'm pretty sure we're just like, pass, please kill us as fast as you can. Guy draws Naturalize. I don't think it matters. Plays Wooded Foothills, and I imagine he's just going straight to combat. Unless, well, if he has a Goblin, it would have haste because of the War Chief, but it looks like he doesn't. So he attacks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to bring us down to 4, and he's got a Siege Gang commander, so Lackey's going to trigger. He's going to cheat in Goblin Matron. He actually could have cast it, but that would be silly because he's got a Siege Gang commander. He can tap 4, sack 2, deal me 4. That's it. We're going to go to game 2 after we sideboard. All right, that was super quick, which I could have predicted, especially the guy being on the play. And opening on Lackey, we have a very heavy-handed sideboard plan for this, and it's a good thing I have my notes because I couldn't remember exactly. We're going to be removing 2 Smokestack. That card's way too slow. I can't think of any game state where I want to tinker for it, so we're going to get it out of the deck. We're going to remove a Mishra's Helix. It's a 5-mana artifact that keeps Guy tapped out. It does not interact with his Lackey plan at all, so we're going to ignore that as well. 2 Furnace. Guy's not playing with the graveyard at all. And then 2 Goblin Welders. There's an interesting interaction that comes up in this matchup that makes my Welders pretty bad. Guy's Gem Palm Incinerators, which says cycle, and then you draw a card and deal X damage to a creature where X is the goblins in play. It counts both players' goblins. So even if Guy's board's empty, he can cycle a Gem Palm and just kill a Welder whenever he wants. It doesn't interact with any of my stacks pieces or not Smokestack, but Sphere of Resistance or anything like that. So those all gotta go. What are we getting? We're only bringing in 3 cards, just different numbers. We're gonna bring in 1 Powder Keg. Goblins, I really don't want to put Keg on 2 because I've got a lot of 2-drops that are artifacts that I don't want to blow up. But 1 will blow up Lackeys, Mog Fanatics. Not that he won't just sack it anyway, but at least gets it out of play. And Skirk Prospectors. And then on 3, it's going to blow up Goblin War Chiefs, Matrons, I think Sharpshooter as well. That should be mostly everything, but it's a lot of stuff. Then we're going to bring in 4 copies of Chill. Chill will mess us up a little bit because we're playing a couple Welders still. And we've got the other card we're bringing, I'm just going to say it right now, is 3 Pyroclasms. It'll make the Pyroclasms way more expensive for us to play too. But Guy's going to be playing Naturalize, and he's going to have Goblin Tinkerers in the sideboard. So he's going to be able to deal with a lot of our permanents. So the goal is to get a Chill down, make him have to use a bunch of mana to answer it, then slam Pyroclasm, and that's why we have 4 Chills, deploy a Chill afterwards. That's the game plan. If we're able to get there, those games are going to go super long. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. All right, going into game 2, you saw what I sided in. It's a ton. I do happen to know what Guy sided in. I can't remember what he sided out, but he brought in 2 Tinkerers and a 4th Naturalize. So he's got 6 ways in his deck now to deal with our artifacts and sometimes enchantments. The Tinkerer won't hit enchantments. But we also have so many color hate cards and like board wipes now. So the texture of this game will be different. I'll lead on Shivan Reef, paying a life, so it's got to be a Welder. That's the only thing that costs 1 blue or 1 red, and it's a Welder. We play the Welder, not super great because I can see in my hand I have a Pyroclasm, but this Welder is going to make it so if Guy has like a turn 1 Lackey, he has to do some work to get through, and if he overextends, then I can really hit him with the punish on the Pyroclasm. He plays Mountain, taps for a red, and he's going to play, it looks like he does have the Lackey, but he's going to open on Mog Fanatic, which makes sense. This is This is why we played the Welder. If the Lackey came down, we don't want a 1-for-1 with our Pyroclasm. I'm going to play Chill. Chill is going to make my Pyroclasms more expensive, but more importantly, it's going to make his Lackey cost 3. So he's going to have to do some serious work to play the Lackey, and then I'll be able to, by the time he can play Lackey on 3 mana, I'll have 4 to be able to cast Pyroclasm. He attacks with the Mog Fanatic, passes to me. I'll take a draw, we'll play a Mind Stone, and it looks like we're just passing straight back with no land drop. Guy's going to, at the end step, lose a life to the Carpulzan Forest, meaning Naturalized is going to hit the Chill. This is another reason that I like not deploying the Pyroclasm just yet. He already answered the Chill, meaning he's down to Naturalize, and now if he overextends, I can Pyroclasm then. I'm going to play Carpulzan Forest number 2, tap for 2, and then is this a Tinkerer? Yeah, this is a Goblin Tinkerer, one of those sideboard cards I was telling you about. Then he's going to tap for 1, probably a red, losing a life going down to 18, and he'll drop a Lackey. This is the point of the game I was trying to set up with my opener. I am going to lose my Welder here, but I play Rishadan Port, tap for 2, play a Mind Stone, then I can tap for 2 more, and is it coming? It's the Pyroclasm, so it's a 2 for 2, but this 2 for 2 is huge because he has an empty board, and I have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana with 2 Rishadan Ports, and I think there's a Tinker in my hand. There's a Tinker and a Masticore in my hand. Guy plays Mountain, taps for 3, it looks like it's going to be a Matron. Matron's cool here. I don't play any permission, so we can't, there's no blue blast or anything. He gets a Ringleader, and I think I did edit it in a way where he doesn't like pull it back and play it forward, and there's a Skirt Prospector, but he had to double take the Ringleader because I do have 2 ports, so a Soul Land's going to mess him up pretty bad here, which I draw for turn. It's a City of Traitors. Now if I hold the City of Traitors and the 2 Rishadan Ports, I can just never let him cast the Ringleader. I'm going to cast Tinker, losing a Mind Stone, and then probably get Triskelion here. This Triskelion's really sweet. What it's going to do is it's going to wipe guy's board, so he can't use the Skirt Prospector to make enough mana to go ahead and cast that Goblin Ringleader through my Rishadan Ports. So I put the first point on the Skirt Prospector, and guy says, don't bother going through phases. You're going to hit them both. I've got nothing to do with the mana. So I've got a Triskelion on 2, which is technically a clock, and then in guy's upkeep, we're immediately going to tap both of his green sources so he can't naturalize, and we know he can't play the Goblin Ringleader now. He's going to tap for nothing. He's just going to pass the turn, holding up 2 red. So I'll draw for turn. We're just getting busy, or we have anything in the main phase? Yep, just getting busy for 2. Starting the clock. Guy goes down to 15. Then we're just passing the turn. Nothing to do except for tap guy out of green again in his upkeep before he draws. So even if he hit the Naturalize, he couldn't cast it, but he doesn't. He's going to tap for 2 and play a Pile Driver. A lone Pile Driver we're not sweating because it just attacks for 1, and we've got a Triskelion in play. We draw, and then we're going to tap for 2 and play Winter Orb and Masticore. So this is kind of like us locking the door shut immediately. There's technically routes guy could take to get out of this, but if I keep feeding this Masticore and keep holding up mana to regenerate it, guy's not going to have a lot of ways out of this. He's going to pass to me after drawing. I'll untap. What am I doing here? I've got a Crosis' Catacombs in hand. That's important. I untap the City of Traitors, and then I go to draw for turn. I should not have done that. I should feed it. I think I had a Gemstone Mine in hand or a Crosis'. It was a Gemstone. We go back. I put the land in the graveyard, then I draw the card for turn. A little bit of a walk back because I completely forgot to discard the Masticore. We're in round 6 of this tournament, and we're all having probably the best time ever. Here I make a huge mistake. I play I guess it's not a mistake, but I play the Tangle Wire knowing that I'm going Hellbent and I've got a Masticore. This is going to force me to have to crack my Mind Stone on my upkeep, which is going to be problematic. Guy's going to play a Mountain, and then I don't think he has anything else he can do except for like play a Mog Fanatic, maybe. Is that what he's doing? Yep, he's playing a Mog Fanatic, one of the promo Mog Fanatics we released as a door prize for this event. I'm going to untap, and then in my upkeep, well, the first thing we got to do is Tangle Wire. So I'm going to tap 3 permanents to the Tangle Wire. I think I end up doing both creatures plus the Tangle Wire since I don't need to hurry to kill guy or anything. And I just pointed to all 3. That's exactly what we're doing. We'll tap all 3 to the Tangle Wire, then hold priority and crack the Mind Stone, draw a card, pitch it, and then this is something I remembered that happened this game that I really was interested to see when I edited it. I pitched the Chill, then I passed a guy and forgot to draw for turn. This is going to matter on my next turn because I don't have anything to pitch to Masticore. This was a huge blunder, and I'm still bummed out about it. But I'm glad it wasn't like a manual dexterity. It was a manual dexterity error. I didn't like play into it. I just forgot to draw for turn, which was really silly. So now we're going to do the Tangle Wire thing. I think we're conversing about what we're untapping, what we're Tangle Wiring. And with the trigger of Masticore on the stack, I'm going to tap the City of Traitors to hit the Mog Fanatic, and then guy's obviously going to sack the Mog Fanatic, shoot the Triskelion, which doesn't really matter here. And then the Tangle Wire is going to tap the Masticore and itself Then I'm gonna go to draw for turn, then guy reminds me, hey, your Masticore is dead. I'm like, oh. And at the time I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But after the game, we were like, how did that Masticore die? That's how it died. I forgot to draw for turn. I'll attack for 2 with Triskelion, bringing guy to 5. We're still in a really good spot, even without the Masticore. We'll play Ancient Tomb, sacrifice the City of Traitors, and then looks like we're passing back to guy who untaps his pile driver and has to tap 2. He also gets to untap one of his lands. So we can either have a pile driver untapped or a land untapped. He goes with a land, it looks like, and then draws for turn. Does he have a spell here? He does. He has to lose a life because he untapped Purples and Forest. Skirt Prospector is the spell, so he's got some extra mana, but he is under a lot of pressure, and I'm shooting the Prospector with my Triskelion. So I've got a 1/1, but he's only at 4 life. I'm going to attack him for 1. Now, the Tangle Wire does roll down to 1, and I tap it. Guy just reminds me to actually do the thing. We bring guy to 3, and then I've got a Tinker that I can't cast because I didn't untap my blue source. So I think we're just passing the guy here. But our spot's amazing. Guy's going to only be able to untap 1 land, and he has to choose between having a land untapped or a Goblin Pile Driver. At this point, I wonder if it's Pile Driver just so he can block, but he doesn't do that. He wants the land, and he's rewarded for it. He draws a Wooded Foothills and plays it as land for turn. Then he fetches. This is dangerous. Now he's down at 2, and he's getting a mountain, and if he wants to make green ever, it's going to cost him a life. So that's really tricky. Then he's going to, he could play nothing, actually. It looks like he can't cast any of the spells in his hand. He's going to pass to me. I'll untap. I don't have to tap anything because I removed the fading counter. So I've got an untapped Tangle Wire and a Tinker in hand. I'm going to lose a life. Maybe not. Am I going to lose 2 life? I am. I'm going to lose 2 life to Ancient Tomb. And then I'm going to play Crosis' Catacombs, bouncing the Ancient Tomb to hand. Then I'll tap the Crosis for blue, I guess. And yeah, we're going to Tinker away that empty Tangle Wire. We're going to go get Karn Silver Golem. This is a cool spot. I think here I put Guy on having another Naturalize. So I'm going to wake up the Winter Orb. And if Guy has Naturalize, he's dead anyway because he has to pay a life for green. And he'll take 1 from the Triskelion. What he has here is this Gem Palm Incinerator, which does kill my Triskelion. But I'll animate my Winter Orb and attack him for 2, meaning we're going to go to game number 3. All right, going into game 3, we're back in the danger zone because Guy's on the play. And if he opens on Goblin Lackey, we're still in a lot of trouble because we can't really cast like a turn 1 Pyroclasm. So we would need a Pyroclasm to recover from that, meaning we're going to be really picky about our opening hand. Neither Guy or I like our openers, I don't think. I'm looking at mine, and it looks pretty bad, and I'm shuffling it in. So we're both going to 6 for now. So we're going to do a little cutty cut, and we're going to see if we can both keep our 6s. I'm hoping Guy goes super deep here, which might be good news for me, because this is a game that was imprinted in my head pretty heavily. It was really fun to play this in the semifinals of this tournament. I'm going to mulligan to 5. Guy's kind of looking at his hand and looking at it from up here. It's not good. So we're both going to 5 here. So this is going to be a low resource game. I think Goblins comes out ahead in that spot because they really just need 3 cards. Mountain, Lackey, Siege Gang Commander. And that's going to be, it's going to demand I answer it or just die. So we're looking at my 5 and it looks pretty good. I've got Sphere. I've got some sideboard hate in the Pyroclasm. I've got a Welder, which I can do the same thing I did game 2 and use it to slow the game down and force Guy to extend. So I'm putting 2 back. Guy is going to 4. This is a hard matchup for me. One of the ways you can see that by how many sideboard cards I brought in. But one of the ways we're able to win this matchup, if we can get there, is Guy going super deep on the mulligan and letting us play a slow game because I need the game to go slow. This hand has a Lackey and no red swords. So that's right. Guy's never lucky, and he is going down to 3. I can't imagine there's any 3 he won't keep. Because once you're on 2, like Lackey doesn't even do anything. So we're going to see if he can keep a Mountain, Lackey, maybe like Ringleader or Siege Gang Commander would be pretty good. All right, he's keeping not a Swamp, but a Mountain. What else has he got? A Rishadan Port. Because if he's going to go down on cards, he needs to make sure he's got lands. But there's no Lackey. It's just a Mog Fanatic. So we're going to settle in for a long game here because you can see the time left in the video, actually. Even though he's in Modal 3, I'm going to Modal 5, and this game is going to go long, and Guy's got a lot of interaction. He opens on Fanatic, passes to me, and I'm going to play a... I'm also lean 2, I'm on 5. I'll play a Gemstone Mine, and it comes with 3 counters, and then I'll pass. Guy draws a Mountain, but he plays Rishadan Port and attacks for 1. I'm just taking the 1, I've got nothing for it. And then he's going to pass to me, and in my upkeep, he's going to use the Port to tap me down. So as far as going to 3 goes, this is kind of, other than having a Lackey, this is about the best you can ask for. I'm going to play a Crosis' Catacombs, bouncing my Gemstone Mine, and then I'll play the Welder. This is the same thing I did game 1. I just want him to either lose his creature to beat the Welder up or like have to extend into the board to keep getting damage in. He's going to port me after passing, and then do we have a soul land? We do. We play City of Traitors, And then I'm going to play is it Winter Orb? It's got to be Winter Orb before Sphere, right? Yep, it's a Winter Orb. So now this is going to start slowing the game down even more than it already was from us both being on low resources. Guy takes a draw. He's going to tap for a red and play Goblin Lackey. This is kind of the spot I want to be in. I've got a creature to block the Lackey, and we've got action in our hand. He also doesn't have very many cards in hand, so I don't have to super duper sweat the card he'd put in from the Lackey. We'll play a Crosis' Catacombs after floating a mana, and then we'll bounce the other land and play Pyroclasm and set up basically the same exact play we did game 1. Guy's going to untap 1 land because we have a Winter Orb, and then he's not flooding out yet, so he's just going to keep using his port to keep me tapped down with him. So we've got no colored source. I play the City of Traitors, and then I'll play a Sphere of Resistance. Sphere of Resistance, you've seen it in the series before. Sphere plus Winter Orb, it means the game's just going to go at like the speed of smell. We're going to be playing a super long game now. I've got lands, but I've got the City of Traitors. I wonder if I want to crack it by playing another land. I do. I play Gemstone Mine after floating 2 at the City of Traitors, and this is going to force me to have to sacrifice the City of Traitors. I'll make a colored mana, and I will play Chill. All right, Chill plus Sphere means all guys' red spells. His 1-drops cost 4, his 2-drops cost 5, and his 3-drops cost 6. This is a bad space to be because on top of that, there is a Winter Orb. He'll pass to me. I'm going to untap my Crosis' Catacombs. And I think guy's asking me, do I know of any lands in your hand? I do not. He doesn't know about the other city in my hand. So he's going to tap my Crosis' Catacombs. I'm going to draw, and then I think I'm just playing this City of Traitors out. I've got nothing to do, which I'm completely fine with. I love how slow this game's moving. Guy draws for turn, no land, so he passes to me. I untap a blue source to go with my City of Traitors. Still nothing to do. I could technically play the Powder Keg. I don't feel the need to do that just yet. Guy does find Powder Keg, or not Powder Keg, Rishadan Port number 2. So I'll untap, and then in my upkeep, guy's going to tap down my soul land. He's also doing a good job making sure I can't extend into the board either. He wants the game to go as long as possible, so maybe he can leverage a Lackey in the late game after we've both burnt a bunch of resources. He plays Wasteland, which is going to be a nightmare for me. He passes. He wants to wait to see what I untap. I untap the city, obviously, and he's going to probably crack that Wasteland on my City of Traitors. He does. Is he going to tap down one of my colored sources? He is. So we're not moving very quickly. I did just draw another City of Traitors, though. Number 3 for the game. That's really good for me. Is there anything I can do? I could play Powder Keg. I do have it in my hand. Sorry, it's kind of behind me the way I make these videos. I'm going to work on changing it. Maybe. We'll see. I'm still working out how to make these. Guy plays a Wooded Foothills. He does have a Naturalize in hand. It does cost 3 to cast it. So he's not going to be able to use that port freely anymore if he wants to leverage the Naturalize. I'll take a draw for turn. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, 3, it looks like, and play a Mind Stone. That's going to be really good for the Tinker in my hand, because I don't really want to tinker away my Sphere of Resistance or my Winter Orb. Guy draws. He draws a Wooded Foothills. Normally, Goblins doesn't like to see this many land drops. When you're on a mulligan solo and you're playing against this matchup exactly, I think that he's happy to be drawing a bunch of lands. I'll draw for turn. He does not port me. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to play Tinker, sacrificing my Mind Stone, which is pretty sweet. I'm trying to remember what play I make here. I think it's Devourer. It is Devourer. Okay, so the reason we got Devourer, it's really weird. We were talking about it during and after the game, but I got this Devourer because I know he knows about the Altar of Dementia in my deck, and I want him to, I think he has Naturalize. So I want to put something in play that's so devastating that he ignores my Sphere of Resistance and my Winter Orb, because I took out my Mishra's Helix as well. So there's no way that my Phyrexian Devourer can die by me activating it once. So it's also going to brick wall every creature he can play. And he casts Naturalize. We'll see what he hits. I think it has to be, yep, it is the Phyrexian Devourer, which means that he tapped a bunch of mana. I've still got all my stacks pieces, and we're going to continue to go longer and longer. Guy's going to untap his forest, take a draw for turn, and he does not have a play. He's going to pass back to me. I know this game is incredibly slow and maybe aggravating to watch, but again, the stack sickos out there, I'm sure, are enjoying themselves. I just untap a land and pass to Guy, who's going to untap a mountain. If I were a Guy, I'd be untapping these Rishadan Ports a little bit more aggressively, because I have access to 2 Tsabo's webs in my main, so if I draw one of those, he's going to get punished pretty bad. I take a draw for turn. It looks like it was a Pyroclasm. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, 3, and then there's a Powder Keg. This is just to insulate me from when the game goes a little further and maybe Guy can resolve like a Lackey or something. Looks like he draws a 1-drop, but he doesn't want to play it. So I will go to my upkeep, put a counter on the Powder Keg, a fuse counter, and then I'll untap a soul land. Guy does not port it. I'll draw for turn and pass the turn because I don't have a land drop. Also, I don't want to lose my City of Traitors. Guy untaps 1 land at a time, slowly getting enough mana to do something. He's going to drop down to 18 and fetch for a basic mountain and tap 5. By my math, this must be a 2-drop. It's going to be a Goblin Tinkerer. This Tinkerer can take out any of my artifacts. If I were him, I would be really keen on removing the Winter Orb. I'm going to roll the keg up to 2. I'm probably not going to pop the keg on 2 because I've got a Winter Orb and a Sphere of Resistance. I'm going to tap for 3, and there's the Tsabo's Web. By Guy not untapping his Rishadan Ports a little bit more aggressively, now he's just locked out of his Rishadan Ports. I'll play Ancient Tomb, sacrificing the City of Traitors. So my mana situation looking very good now, and I'm passing to Guy. Now Guy at any point can just crack this Goblin Welder or this Goblin Tinkerer to pop one of my artifacts, but his spells are so expensive that if he unlocks that Winter Orb, I think it helps me more than it helps him. I'm going to take my Powder Keg up to 3, like we were talking about before, and then I will draw for turn. My hand is full of colored spells, so that means I've got a combination of like good sideboard cards and Tinkers. This game, if it goes too much longer, I don't think there's a way that Guy can like get back into it. I will untap my Crosis' Catacombs and simply pass back. It looks like no spells. Nothing to do. Oh no, that hand motion was, do you want to do anything in my upkeep or do you want to discard, I guess? We'll play Fire Diamond, tapping. We need to pay extra for that. So yeah, we're losing 2 life to the Ancient Tomb. And then we'll get Fire Diamond in play, which is a mana source that's not a land, so it's going to help with the Winter Orb situation. Guy's going to untap a green source and take a draw for turn. It's a Wasteland. This probably wants to beat up on my Ancient Tomb. I'm going to untap and then untap the Ancient Tomb. Do we see Guy pop his Wasteland? Nope. So we're going to leave the Powder Keg at 3, and then I'm going to tap for a red and 2 and 1, losing 2. Looks like I only lost 1 to that Ancient Tomb. I don't know if we catch that one. I will tell you it never actually matters, but that's, again, round 6. I'm playing with my roommate. We're good friends. We're having a good time. I go ahead and tinker for a Tangle Wire. Guy probably is incentivized to bust the Tangle Wire, and I think I knew that when I tinkered for it. I needed to put something into play that Guy would bust his Tinkerer on, and that's exactly what we're seeing here, I think. He's targeting Tangle Wire. So this Tangle Wire is gone. This is really good for me because now I don't have to tap stuff to my own Tangle Wire. And I'm still at the end step. He's going to tap for 3 and cast Naturalize. I wonder if he's going to hit. I think he might want to hit the Winter Orb, but yeah, he hits the chill because he sees what's going to happen if he pops the Winter Orb. His spells will all still cost 5, 6, and 7, and I will have a full on-tap step, and my hand's like full. Guy plays Wooded Foothills, and does he have anything else? He's going to fetch. This is going to drop him down to 17. He gets a basic mountain. I wonder if he's doing anything here. Tap for 2, and there's a Goblin Lackey. This is a problem. I do need to answer it. If this thing connects, we are in deep, stinky doo-doo. So we'll untap a land. We'll draw for turn. It looks like we do have a Pyroclasm, and I think I'm trading this Pyroclasm 1 for 1. I'll drop to 12 to cast Pyroclasm, losing 2 to the Tomb, 1 to the Shivan Reef. And then do we have a land drop? We don't have a city, so we're not punished. It's a Rishadan Port. We have to be careful with that. There's a Tsabo's Web, so if we tap the Rishadan Port, it won't untap, same as Guy's. Guy's going to draw, look at his hand. I believe he has 7, so he's just going to pass back to me. Nothing to do. He doesn't have enough mana to do anything. Looks like I'm just passing back to him. So he's going to untap a mountain. He'll draw for turn. Does he have a play? Nope. And I guess he was at 6 cards, not 7, because he didn't discard. I'll untap a Catacombs. I'll play another Rishadan Port. Now we've got a ton of mana. I will tap for 1, 2, 3. And we'll play Chill. Now Guy's spells are all crazy expensive again, other than like Naturalize. Guy's going to untap a green source and draw for turn. Where does he hit here? Is that... I think that was another Lackey that he can't cast because it costs 4. He's going to pitch a Goblin Matron and pass to me. So I'll untap a colored source. I think I just drew a Pyroclasm. I'll pass back to Guy. He'll untap a red source, draw another red source. So now he's at 5. So he can cast a spell now if he wants to. He's tapping 4. Is it a Lackey? It's a Lackey, but we have the Pyroclasm all wrapped up. And here we're happy to trade 1 for 1 with a Lackey since Guy just can't seem to get an on-tap step because our Winter Orb is so good. I'll draw for turn. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, losing 2 life, going down to 8, which really should be 7 because I missed 1 point off the last Ancient Tomb tap. We play Masticore, and we can't regenerate it, but this Masticore is just going to get in the way of this Lackey. And Guy's got a small window to naturalize it, but he needs to have the naturalize and an untapped land because we still have the Sphere of Resistance. So Guy is passing to me, and this is not good for him. This means that I can untap my Ancient Tomb and just start shooting everything he plays. We do have to feed the Masticore in order to keep it around. We pitch a Tsabo's Web. And then, are we just attacking or are we going to shoot it? Looks like we're going to shoot the Lackey. You want to get this game over with as fast as possible. We'll attack with the Masticore for 4, bringing Guy down to 13. Play a Shivan Reef and pass, where Guy's going to untap 1 basic mountain. He draws for turn. He goes to discard and pitches a Goblin Ringleader. Ringleader not great when you can't even cast the 7 cards you have in your hand. So why would he want more? And I draw, and then I'm going to pitch Tangle Wire. I pitch Tangle Wire and then draw to the Masticore. Then we attack for 4. We're going to try to ride this Masticore all the way to victory, I think. We're going to play Crosis' Catacombs, bouncing something. I think that was just a tapped Rishadan Port. Guy's going to untap a land, draw a card, discard a Siege Gang Commander, and I think he's passing to me. We'll untap a Crosis' Catacombs. We have to feed our dog, so we'll pitch a Karn Silver Golem. Then we will draw and attack Guy for 4. Guy's reading it because I think he has a Naturalize. I'm like, nah, you can regenerate this thing. So he's going to drop down to 5. And then I will play another Rishadan Port, the one that I picked up off the Crosis' Catacombs. And then we're tapping for... we're not tapping the port because we know we have the Tsabo's Web. So we'll tap for 1, 2, 3. What 2 drop are we playing? Chill number 2. Guy's 1 drops now cost 6. His 2 drops cost 7. His 3 drops cost 8. And the maximum mana he's going to have next turn will be on tap 1. Looks like he's just casting a spell. Naturalize. What's he hitting? The Winter Orb. This is not good. Not for me. It's not good for Guy. He just hit the Winter Orb, but the cheapest spell he can cast is a 1 drop at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could tap all of his mana to play like a Lackey right now. He's going to tap all of his mana to play a Skirt Prospector. I think this is going to be the game if I'm looking at the board state right. I could shoot the Prospector, which I probably should do. I don't know if I end up doing it because I know that I'm going to win if the game keeps going. So I'm going to draw for turn, feed the Masticore. I actually don't remember if I remember to feed the Masticore, probably because we see that the game's ending here and I've got like 10 cards in hand, so it doesn't matter. I'll attack for 4. He doesn't block. I tinker. I would go get Triskelion, shoot him for 1. We wind up getting there, which is all right. We made it to the finals. Yes, I am 5-0 in Swiss and 1-0 in the cut. So this is going to be, if we can win this one, we're going to be undefeated for the whole tournament. No one was really prepared for what I was playing today. I had not brought, I don't think anyone had brought like stacks mud to this this environment yet, these locals we have going. So I'm not sure anyone was prepared for it. But our finals opponent is Chris Shavers, who beat Ryan Gates in his semifinals match. So he's going to get a grudge match against me. He was able to take down one of our games in the Swiss portion. So we're going to see if he's better prepared now. Let's get into the finals. All right, getting into it. This match is not going to be a die roll. This is the finals. And I believe it's Chris who has high seat. So I'm going to be on the draw, just like I was in the semis against Landlord Guy Scott. Let's take a look at some openers. Chris has, looks like, double the Dark Hour Wastes, no permission. He's got a Chain of Vapor. So he's got like the Parallax Tide combo. He's shipping it. My hand looks generically weak. Chris we played in Swiss already. You saw, if you're watching this, this is the supercut. So you already know that Chris is going to need permission. We are taking a minute here to break out all the prizing. That's what Guy won. Guy got 3rd place. So we got the Gushes. First place here is going to get those sick Phyrexian Negators, the Dark Ritual, the Pack of Apocalypse. And then second place is going to get like the white package. That's a foil standstill. And we got some basics and stuff. Me and my buddy locally here, Albano Corsi, worked on making those altars. So that we're really proud of the prizing for these events. Looks like Chris is keeping 6 and I'm keeping 6 and we're getting good to go. He's going to play an island and pass to me. I'll take a draw step and I'm going to play a City of Traitors tapped immediately. And I'm going to open on Winter Orb. This is going to be backbreaking for Chris as the game goes. Because Chris, as he has to answer spells that I'm casting, he won't be able to get full on-tap steps, so I can keep jamming spells into his restricted mana. I'll play Crosis' Catacombs, doing my favorite trick and picking up the City of Traitors that I've made 2 mana with. Then I'll play Tangle Wire. This is what I was talking about. Chris has to counterspell, but now he's down to 1 land. So even if he has a land drop here, the next spell I cast, he's going to have to tap 2 and go down to 1 again. And he's going to eventually run out of 2 mana counterspells, or he's just eventually not going to have the mana he needs to cast them. I'll play a Phyrexian Furnace, exile his bottom card from his graveyard. That doesn't really matter here. It's not important in this matchup. But it's something I'm going to keep doing just to keep the graveyard clean. Chris plays a Fairy Conclave tapped and passes to me. Last turn I played an Ancient Tomb, so I get to make 2 mana for 2 life. And then we're going to play a Mind Stone. If Chris has interaction, he's not going to interact with this. Yep, it resolves. Then we're going to play the City of Traitors back out, so we have 4 mana. Here we could do quite a few things. It looks like I have a Tinker and a Smokestack in hand. And it looks like I'm going to go for Tinker. I think, yeah, I'm thinking twice about that, because I think if there's a spell I really want to resolve, it's going to be the Tinker itself. So I might play the Smokestack here as bait. Yep, I tap out and play the Smokestack, and Chris is probably, yeah, he's going to counterspell. He has to interact with this. I've got more permanents than him, and if the Smokestack starts, you know, doing its thing with the soot counters, Chris can't win the game if he starts losing his lands. So that's just going to be really bad for him. I'll untap 1 land. It's a City of Traitors. Draw for turn. Looks like I ate the other counterspell with the Phyrexian Furnace as well. I'll play Rishadan Port. I should sack that City of Traitors. I'm going to tap down one of Chris's lands and upkeep. I think someone catches it here. Yep. I just completely forgot. Chris and I are having a great time. We're also both very hungry, and Chris has somewhere to be, so we're trying to rush through this finals match because we didn't expect the turnout we got for this, so it was kind of a long tournament. I'm going to just pass to Chris, tap down the white source with the Darker Wastes, or with the Rishadan Port. Then he passes back to me, so I'll take a draw step. Do you have a land? We have a Crosis of Catacombs. I'll play the Crosis of Catacombs, bouncing my Ancient Tomb. And then what do we got here? We can just kind of keep doing what we're doing. But instead, I'm going to play the Goblin Welder. Does Chris have a response? Looking at his hand, he does. It's a mana leak. So he's going to counter that because there's a Smokestack in the graveyard. If that thing resolves and he doesn't have Swords to Plowshares, he's out of luck. We're going to go ahead and Rishadan Port him in his upkeep. Then we'll play an Ancient Tomb. Is it time for a Sphere of Resistance? That'd be pretty good. Yep, Sphere is good here. Now, Sphere is especially oppressive at this moment because we've got him locked under Rishadan Port, and even if he untaps a land and makes a land drop without the port being taken into account even, he won't be able to counterspell. He'll never be up to 3 mana. He'll play Coastal Tower, pass to me. I will draw, and here's the point where Chris is like actually fully in prison. It's going to be very difficult for Chris to break out of this spot. I don't have a land drop. I'm just going to pass. Are we going to tap down his land and his upkeep? I say it's fine. Which makes sense because Chris can't cast any counter spells still. So like if I want to tinker next turn, it's just gonna happen. The Sphere of Resistance is it's taxing him way too much. We hit the bottom card, it's just a mana leak. Again, it doesn't really matter, it's just a good practice to keep your opponent's graveyard exiled. I go to untap. This is a weird one. I do remember this happening. We talked about it after and I was like, I don't know if I did, and I caught it in editing. I untapped 2 lands here underneath my Winter Orb. It doesn't actually end up affecting this game at all. And there's like 7 people watching this match. We were all very excited, not only for the sweet Premodern tournament, but to get food after. So I think that's the only huge flub, but I did catch that. I'm going to tap for 2, losing some life, go up to 3 it looks like. And then what do we got here? Tinker probably? Yeah, we're tinkering away the Mind Stone. We know Chris can't do anything about it. I think we're supposed to get Helix here, and that's exactly what we do. The Helix is cool because we're both locked under a Winter Orb. So with the Helix, if I can eventually, and I've already got the Mind Stone's gone, but if I ever get a Thran Dynamo, I can just use the Helix and the Thran Dynamo to hard lock Chris out of all of his mana, and the Sphere of Resistance will make it so he can never cast Chain of Vapor. Looks like in upkeep here, I am going to use all of my mana to try to tap Chris out before he draws this card. He's going to fetch him response because I'm also targeting the Flooded Strand just to get an island, but there's still nothing he can cast on 1 mana. He's going to take a draw for turn. Eventually, after he figures out his mana situation, it is a Dust Bowl. So he can play the Dust Bowl. Technically, Chain of Vapor's on the menu, but he's going to have to Chain of Vapor my Winter Orb at my end step for that to function. And I can do some cool stuff, like tap him out before going to my second main phase, for instance. I play an Ancient Tomb. This would be do I have a Thran Dynamo in hand? I do. This would be a really good time to try to develop Thran Dynamo. That way I've got this like mana hate engine that is totally agnostic of my land, so I can ignore my Winter Orb. Chris is going to untap. He'll draw for turn and play a Mishra's Factory. He's happy to be hitting a bunch of land drops here. This is the one matchup where you're super kind of stoked to flood. But I'm going to go ahead and, I think in my turn, tap down all Chris's mana with the Helix. He can untap 1. He chooses an island. And then, yep, he taps down the Mishra's Factory. What does he see here? It's in a Darker Waste, so he keeps drawing his lands. I'll untap an Ancient Tomb. Now, you're going to notice something happening in this game right now. I'm continuing to untap lands instead of tapping Chris's lands down because of the Thran Dynamo and the Mishra's Helix, meaning that I will be able to build up mana while Chris stays locked in prison, which is really good for me. I'm tapping a bunch of mana to cast, what is this? And there's the Thran Dynamo I was talking about. I kind of got ahead of myself. So I was using the Ancient Tombs to keep Chris tapped out, but now we have this Dynamo and this Mishra's Helix. So anyone paying attention, Chris will never be able to have a critical mass of mana. He's really just hunting for Chain of Vapor. But if I play this correctly, he'll never have 2 mana to use a Chain of Vapor underneath the Sphere of Resistance. So this is kind of just a hard lock. I play a Rishadan Port as my land for turn. And passing to Chris and then tapping 2 lands down in his upkeep. This would be the one point where he could have chained, but then he'd be tapped out and I just redeploy the Winter Orb. And I don't even think he has chain, but that would be like the one window where you could even resolve it. I'll untap and draw. Looks like we keep drawing lands, which is good for me. It's a Shivan Reef. And here we go again. I'm going to tap down the giant Thran Dynamo and the Mishra's Helix. Keep him tapped out. He keeps drawing lands, but again, 1 mana, not enough to cast a single spell under a Sphere of Resistance. He's not playing any free permission. I'll pass to him. He's going to untap a land and immediately tap him out of both after he chooses his target. And then he's going to go to draw for turn. Is it a land? It's not. He also has 8 in hand. I believe he has to discard. He pitches a standstill because he does not have a hand size problem. He has a mana problem. I'll draw. I'll play a Looks, no, I just untapped the Crosis Catacombs. I thought I played it. I'm going to play a, thinking about, ooh, I think I'm just going to show him two. Yeah, okay, we just show him two Tinkers. These two Tinkers represent, I put them on the screen, Phyrexian Devourer and Altar of Dementia. That's a combo kill. He's tapped out, so we're going to go to game number 2. All right, before we can get into game 2, we do have a sideboard plan. It's going to be, I think, very similar to what we did when we played Chris in Swiss. I think maybe we brought out 2 Furnaces. I'm not sure. What we brought out here, it's just a 2 for 2, because my deck is kind of set up to prey on these control decks that don't put a lot of aggression into play. We're going to cut 1 Ensnaring Bridge, because obviously Chris is very rarely going to have creatures to attack with. And we're going to cut 1 Phyrexian Furnace, because Chris does not use his graveyard at all. We're going to bring in 2 Defense Grid, because Defense Grid makes it so Chris's counter spells cost 5 mana, sometimes 6 if I have the Sphere of Resistance, so I'll be free to execute like a combo kill or something whenever I want. Let's get into game number 2. All right, that was really, really good for us. Getting the Winter Orb down on turn 1 was kind of messed up. So for the second game, Chris is going to be on the play once again, and he's going to have access to a null. So we already saw what I did for the sideboarding. I don't have a ton for Tide Still or Land Still, because the matchup's like kind of good for me, but Chris has plenty to bring in this matchup. Looking at my hand, I have no soul land, so I'm probably not supposed to keep this. I want to at least be able to fade hard counters like Mana Lake and Counterspell. With him being on the play, I won't be able to do anything about a null, but I can at least null check him by going turn 1 soul land and try to develop Winter Orb or Sphere of Resistance and start my stacks plan like that. Looking at my 6, this looks pretty good to me. I've got multiple lands. I've got some stacks pieces, including a Sphere of Resistance, so Chris is going to lead on Island. I'll draw for turn, and will I just open on a soul land? Looks like it. Ancient Tomb, immediately lose 2 life and play Sphere of Resistance, and Chris immediately null checks us. He's got 3 of them in the sideboard. He definitely brought them all in. Chris draws and plays Flooded Strand, passes back to me, so I'll untap and draw. We're probably just supposed to play this City of Traitors, which we do. Then we're going to jam Tangle Wire. We're going to keep making Chris have it every turn until he just runs out of resources. So he counterspells. I have to lose life because the Tangle Wire costs 3, but our life total is like almost an infinite resource in this particular matchup. So we're going to cut, and we're going to pass back to Chris, who untaps, takes his little draw for turn. And does he have a land drop? It looks like a Mishra's Factory. Passes to me, so I draw. I'm going to tap for 2, do my favorite trick ever, and play Crosis' Catacombs, picking up the City of Traitors with the trigger on the stack. Then I'll tap for 2 more. So I've got 4 total. I'm playing Thran Dynamo. This is something I would think about countering if I was Chris, but he doesn't, so I'll tap for 3 and play Tangle Wire. He can counter here if he has it, but if he doesn't have it, then this game's going to get really, really dark really fast. He doesn't have it. So we're passing, and Chris taps all 3 lands. This is very bad for him. We'll untap, and then we have to tap 3, but I've got a Thran Dynamo, so I can just leave that as my untap permanent and have plenty of mana. We'll play the City of Traitors back out, tap for 2, play Tsabo's Web. Now that Mishra's Factory will never untap. And then we'll draw a card off the Tsabo's Web because that card's insane. Chris untaps, and then I think he forgets, but we remember, go ahead and tap down 2 more to the Tangle Wire. Chris passes, he's got permission, but we've prisoned him out super early. We just kept pressuring him and making him have it every turn, and he eventually didn't have it. So we're going to tap for 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll cost 5. That's a Smokestack. I'm not sure exactly how Chris gets out of this, and there's a Goblin Welder, and Chris... Okay. Sorry, Chris. He concedes here. He shows me his hand, no permission. We get him. That was kind of insane. All right. So for anyone who's been following this series, yes, I did go 7-0. I won all my Swiss rounds and my finals and semifinals. So I am the Premodern Summer Series Championship winner for Pandemonium Games series. We do have the summer series, not the summer series, the fall series going on right now. We just had our first event. We had a record turnout for it as well. It was really cool. A lot of new people showed up. I did end up winning that one as well. I played Dr.Teeth. We did not record that one, so I just thought I'd drop that here if anyone was wondering if we're still doing these. We are. I believe the next one, if anyone's watching this and is local and wants to check it out, is going to be on the 27th of this month, September. And that's going to be at 12 p.m., $15 entry if you want to come. We've got cool promos, winter promo, tons of store credit, all kinds of cool stuff going on. But if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. I do want to keep doing these. I'm not going to do it for every single local event because it takes a long time to make these, like much longer than it takes me to make these in-studio videos. But I find it, I think it's nice to have a mix of different types of content on this channel, especially since we're doing daily content. So let me know if you enjoyed this. I know some of you already did on the last series, but I'm continuing to farm for feedback. That's all I'm going to have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time.